Apparently, the only news that exists is that the debate was rigged. Some Republicans want an investigation as to whether or not there was collusion between ABC News and the Harris campaign. I kind of feel like there probably was. They're denying it. ABC News has come out and said, no, we did not cooperate or coordinate in advance in any way. But I got to be honest, my friends, that's not the headline story of the day. The headline story of the day is that Donald Trump is friends with Laura Loomer. Everybody just laughs. Like, we're in the middle of the intro, people. But it's funny because I feel like, and I think, we'll get into it for sure, they're making Laura Loomer the headline story because they're trying to spin this as a negative for Trump based on who Laura is, despite her being a private citizen who doesn't work for the campaign or anything like that. But now you've got all of these stories all over the internet about Laura Loomer and who she is, and she's become more and more famous. I said it before and I'll say it again. I don't know if there is anyone who is better at PR than Laura Loomer is. I think she knows exactly what she's doing. You can look at her career, how she chained herself to the Twitter HQ, made herself a top worldwide trend. Now she's headline news. I think she knows what she's doing. So we will talk about that. It's not our lead story, but we'll talk about that. Nate Silver's predictions for where things are going. It's funny. He wrote an article saying Trump might lose. He says Trump's to lose and he might do it. And then you look at his forecast and Trump has improved in his projections. So sure, we'll talk about that. Plus, Am I Racist? The Daily Wire film is being booted from theaters because, people are getting triggered. It's just so insane. We'll talk about all that, my friends. Before we get started, head over to castbrew.com and buy Cast Brew coffee. It's the best coffee you will ever have. You know how I know? Because Alex Stein is sitting right here and he loves it.
Pimp on a blimp, 2-time grind, caffeine will keep you up at night. If you need a little pick-me-up, go to castbrew.com and pick up some of that double caffeinated coffee.
That's what I'm talking about. Then also head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member to support our work directly. And as a member, you keep the show going. We operate because you guys are members, and that's how things go. So smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Mike Crispi.
Hey, Tim. Good to see you. Mike Crispi. I'm the chair of the America First Republicans in New Jersey, President Trump's hype man at his famous Wildwood rally with over 100 people. On the board of the Italian-American Civil Rights League, fighting to keep those Columbus statues up. And I got a show, podcast, Mike Crispi, Unafraid. Thanks for having me, Tim.
Of course, Alex is here.
I'm back, ready for round two. Hey, why is Columbus so controversial? Because he was racist? Why?
Because people don't like Italian Americans in this country.
Why?
So much Italian American racism.
That's the best episode of The Sopranos, where they're trying to tear down the statues and they go kick everybody's butt. I love that.
That's what we're doing.
They hate Italians, but they keep eating all the pizza.
That's unbelievable. They appropriate our culture. We're not going to stand for it anymore.
Completely.
Libby's another northeastern Italian who can attest to this.
I have to wonder, though. I mean, I guess Italian derivative foods are the most popular foods in the country, I guess.
That's because they're the best
pizza.
foods.
Yeah.
And they want
cheese and sauce.
And they want to take our holiday, Columbus Day. You don't see anybody coming for Martin Luther King Day, but they want to take our day, Columbus Day, where only Donald Trump says he will save Columbus Day. Tim Walz wants to cancel Columbus Day. Unbelievable.
Jeez. Libby's hanging out.
I'm Libby Emmons. I'm hanging out. I'm here with, what do I do? I'm with the Post-Millennial. That's right.
I've heard of it.
Super glad that it's Friday, and I'm tired of working this week. Hope you guys are good.
I'm glad you're all here, especially given that we have a lot of Italian representation in the room. That's very important in culture. I'm Hannah Claire Brimwell. I'm a writer for SCNR.com at Scanner News. Check out all of our work at Timcast News on the internet. Thanks to Chris DeGaulle, who had me on his morning show this morning. That was really cool. Let's get started.
Oh, I just want to give a shout out to Tim Heidecker in the chat. What up, Tim?
Tim Heidecker's in the chat?
Yeah, he just shouted us out.
You like Tim Heidecker?
You don't like him?
Are you kidding? I'm a Sam Hyde fan.
Oh, okay.
Tim Heidecker got Sam Hyde fired. Tim Heidecker, if you're watching this, you're a bitch, dude. You suck. I mean that. I'm dead serious. Sam Hyde's funnier than you. He's better than you. You should not have got him fired. You're mad that his fans don't like you. Tim Heidecker, you suck. Tim might like you, but I'm Sam Hyde all the way.
Tim had tweeted out several years ago. He was a big fan of the show and everything, and I know he says he's not anymore, but I wonder if that's just because he got scared because he was going to get canceled or something. But he had, my understanding is he was a big fan. Anyway, let's talk about the news. Here you go from the Daily Mail. ABC denies extraordinary allegation about collusion between Kamala Harris and debate moderators after fury from MAGA. ABC is denying Vice President Kamala Harris had, Kamala Harris had debate questions in advance. MAGA is angry that moderators fact-checked ex-President Donald Trump. ABC News said, absolutely not. Harris was not given any questions before the debate. Well, we have this from the Examiner. Harris campaign and ABC News target of GOP senators' inquiry into debate. I kind of feel like a lot of this is cope. I mean, people are claiming Kamala had headphones in, her earrings or whatever, and I'm just like, guys.
Looks like they were a pair of Tiffany earrings, which go with her, like $16,000 Tiffany necklace.
She was
she's
wearing
worn them
almost
before.
$20,000 in jewelry.
Yeah.
Like, she is unrelatable, but not because she has a secret earring. You know what I mean? I kind of agree with you. I think there is a little. I mean, the earring, like being a microphone or whatever, like a secret listening device. That felt like hope to me. The thing is, the DNC has a bad track record. Let's all remember where Donna Brazile is now in the Hillary Clinton campaign. And so I understand why, when it seemed like there was an obvious bias against Trump, everyone is prepared to say you guys don't play fair because they have a history.
And doesn't Donna Brazile work for ABC right now in a capacity?
Is it ABC or a different news?
I believe
She's on TV
I
anyway.
believe she's at ABC.
Yeah.
Check.
She is. Yeah.
She's at ABC.
I'm pretty
so-
sure that was a big talking point.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, and the moderator was her sorority sister, and it's like, oh, well, they didn't really
That's
know
right.
each other. But it's like, come on, if you're a frat bro or a sorority girl from college, those are your friends for life, right? So obviously nobody's buying the fact that, she wasn't helped big time. Even though, Libby, you said at the head of the Commission on Presidential Debates was saying that this thing was rigged.
Exactly, has an issue with that. And also, the head of ABC is Kamala Harris's best friend, who set up her and Dougie Emhoff a couple years ago,
why
leading
would-
to their marriage 10 years ago.
Why did Trump agree to it then?
I think Trump agreed to it because he couldn't get them to agree to anything else. And I also don't think that he thought it would go quite so badly as it did. And I don't think he thought that they would be this biased, perhaps, which was a mistake, obviously. But he agreed to the first debate, which was CNN. He agreed to a Fox debate that Kamala, or as Tucker Carlson said, Kamala Harris didn't.
Why Carmela?
Kamala. He just keeps saying it different every time.
I
Tucker
love
does?
that.
Yeah, it's amusing. But Kamala Harris didn't show up for the Fox debate, so Trump had a town hall. And this was something that was previously agreed to. I think also if he had not gone along with it after he'd already agreed to the terms with Joe Biden, he would have potentially looked pretty weak, just as weak as she looked, not showing up for Fox. But
Well, Trump's
wasn't
saying
covered by legacy media.
Trump's now saying he might do another debate if he feels like it. He's opened the door, they say.
Well, just the fact that they built her own separate, smaller podium. I mean, come on. You don't think they gave her the...
Well, because Trump is like, you can't use a stool. So then they were like, but he didn't say no smaller podiums.
That was so ridiculous.
And they also had different camera angles for her than for him.
Yep.
That's pretty clear. They had sort of different lighting.
Yeah.
They
the
set
shadow
him up to
on
look
Trump.
like a monster
And it
on
was
purpose.
blue. They
You know-
purposely-
Yeah, and he blended
Yeah.
in with the background.
On the split screen, Trump looked totally different than he did on the full screen. Did you notice that? They like the shadows on the split screen, the camera that was being used made him look darker. And then in full screen, he looked normal.
know
so
what?
they were trying to make him look
They
like
set her up to be on the right.
You know what I would have done?
What?
I'd have just left.
just walk
in the
off.
middle of it, but then you rage quit. No, but
No, I wouldn't rage quit. I would just be like, I can see how this is going, gentlemen. I appreciate it. I would humbly request fair and honest fact checks. After she did, the moment Kamala did the very fine people hoax, the bloodbath hoax, like what was it? She
The
said
gun hoax. I mean, and David Muir
they
asked
were-
her the
she
question
said that
about
she-
guns.
It's real.
David Muir asked her
Right.
that question, and she
so
said
when
buyback.
when she fired off 3 lies all at once, and it was like very fine people, bloodbath or whatever. I would have just been, I would have said, David, did you want to fact check that? And then if he didn't, I'd say, okay, and I'd just walk out.
I think the problem is Trump knows he can't trust the media, and they would have immediately been like, Trump gets so flustered during debate, he runs away. I mean,
what?
remember when he got shot in the head, and they were like, Trump ducks after loud noise.
yeah.
I mean,
But that just proves the point. The idea that Trump is going to stand there and be like, this will improve for me. If it were me, I'd have just walked off. You know why? They'd panic. It would be hugely embarrassing for ABC News to have dead air for an hour, and they'd be like, what do we do? Their sponsors would lose it. The amount of money it probably cost for that 10 p.m., I think it was 10 p.m. Commercial slot? Yeah. Massive. They're going to the sponsor. We're going to have millions of views. Do you want the slot or not? And they're like, yes. Trump walks out. Those advertisements are dead. And then what you do is, if Trump walks off, and they say, ladies and gentlemen, the former President Donald Trump has just left the stage. They say, what are you doing? Say, I'm going to leave right now, and your advertisers are going to be in revolt. Or you can fact check Kamala Harris.
yeah, I mean, if you look at politics, there's a saying that politics are just the entertainment division of the military-industrial complex. And there was not enough entertainment. Like, I feel like Trump... And yeah, he could have brought up Willie Brown, that she was giving him BJs and all this, and she could have brought Stormy Daniels and this and that. There's both shots that they could have taken at each other, but they should have made it more entertaining. That's what I think we're missing. Like Trump should have pandered a little more and said, it's like when he said you'd be in jail. Like we needed that moment. And we didn't have
No,
it.
that's not true. Yes, we did.
And eating the cats. I mean, that's been the story.
Eating the
of-
dogs,
I
eating
like-
the cats.
That's-
We
Excuse me,
had.
I'm speaking now. That was the
talking,
best
please.
one.
That was
and,
good.
And quiet, please. And we had, why don't you go wake up Joe Biden? He's probably sleeping right
was
now.
good.
4 p.m. Yeah, that was a good line. That was
And Kamala didn't jump in to defend Joe. That was one of the best parts. That
She goes-
Trump just
Yeah.
completely ridiculed Joe Biden over and over again, and she was just like, and putting her hand up, like she didn't know what to do with herself.
But that's because she doesn't care about Joe Biden now. He was a useful idiot. He ushered her into the White House when she coveted it so hard and couldn't get there on her own in 2020. And she managed to sneak her way in anyway on the DEI ticket. And now she doesn't care what happens to him because she's a big fat bully and she's mean and she has nothing to say about policy or plans. And her whole vibe is that of a mean girl who just wants to push you into lockers.
I'm just going to, from now on, just say that Biden endorsed Trump.
He did. Put on the
In a way, he did.
In a way.
so
I mean, put on the hat. Well, do you like the conspiracy that Biden is playing 5D chess and trying to troll Kamala by putting on
Biden can't play 1D chess.
Yeah, well,
I bet he can't even play checkers, you guys. And that's like an
Well, that
old
uses
folks'
two-
home.
that's
But that makes it even better
standard.
that he would just be like, I'm going to wear the hat now. I'm mad at her. I mean, he can't hide anything. He's just going to be mad openly at his vice president as we run through the rest of his term. Meanwhile, Trump is over here laughing. I mean, I think the dynamic between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden is so funny. I mean, they basically threw him a funeral on the first day of the DNC and then were like, go to California and don't come back.
Get the hell out of here.
Right.
You old man.
yeah, but
Right.
We don't want you. You smell bad.
He went to one campaign
You've got
rally
weird
with
mouth
her,
sounds.
and she spoke after him.
Yes,
they
that's
made
right.
him speak first. He's
That's
the
right.
sitting
He's the
president.
president.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to debunk one thing. Like everybody thinks that it was Kamala that got Joe Biden to step down, but the real conspiracy is that once Joe Biden got COVID and he couldn't smell kids anymore, he just decided, what's the point in running? I can't sniff these damn kids. I'm
He's
going
just
to
like,
call
that's
it
it.
quits.
We're not doing it.
That's when he
anymore.
broke. That truly broke him.
That
He's
broke
just like,
him.
There's no reason. The flavor of life is gone.
Nothing to sniff. I'm done.
So, you think Trump's going to do another debate?
I think he could. I mean, maybe he'll feel like it, I think it would be good for them to do another debate, but I wonder how many undecided voters there really are. We were talking about it the other night, that undecided voters, some of them went for Trump after this debate, just, in a focus group kind of thing. But like,
He won on the economy. That's all that matters.
he won on the economy, and I think he'd win on a lot of other things. I think part of it, though, is that she can fluster him because she's so awful. She does that little smile and the smirk and the...
But if Trump does not have the capability, I think there's a strong reality that because Kamala didn't define herself on the economy, Trump doesn't want to give her the chance to do it. And so Trump probably knows behind the scenes he could have done better, but they're saying, look, you improved on the economy according to all these polls.
Yeah.
They say Kamala won, but on the economy, people have shifted towards you. Do not give her another chance. That's just it. He's not going to.
And who's going to moderate it? I mean, who's going to moderate that debate? What channel will it be on? Will she agree to a Fox News debate?
She would never agree to
Trump
a
sat
Fox
there
News
with
debate.
Kamala's sorority sister, and Kamala won't agree to a Fox News debate. Obviously, she won't. So
She won't. And
I don't
you
think
even
he should do it. I don't
had
think
you
he
even
should
had
do
Pete Buttigieg saying that she should not go on Fox even a little, not even go on Fox for an interview because he said that they were just too biased. Meanwhile, he's like, but I show up on Fox all the time.
Do you think Fox News, I don't even think they would be in favor of Donald Trump. I mean, do you think they would help him out that much? Honestly, Fox News kind of sucks.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
think
they'd be
would.
fair.
Yeah.
So the problem is when it comes to the right, the machine is going to be biased against you, and the conservative media will be fair.
Yeah,
fair
that's
and
not.
balanced. I don't know.
Trump called into Fox and Friends and he said, if the next Fox debate comes, I don't want Brett Baer and Martha to do it. And they're all sitting there on the couch like, what? He's like, I want Jesse Waters to do it.
Yeah.
And I want Laura Ingraham to do it.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I mean, part of the strangeness to me is that like Kamala Harris could waltz in and say, "You agreed to this debate with Biden, and I'm here now, and you have to debate me on the same day under the same terms." Very, very odd.
is
I mean,
very weird.
It,
And
it was
I
like she
found
just dropped in this new candidate, this new vice president and yet expected to be treated like Joe Biden. Except, as we know, she's not Joe Biden.
Except
she told
doesn't want to be treated like Joe Biden, but she wants all of the privileges that he earned in his political career starting in the 70s. She wants everything. She wants everything that he has earned without having earned it herself. And then she wants to be treated differently and unique and independent and a vibrant woman.
Right. And because the media is so supportive of her campaign, all the headlines were Trump wants to back out of pre-established debate, when really it's not an established debate because Joe Biden is no longer running for president. This is a completely new campaign. I wish in some ways that he had pushed harder before this debate because he had said, I'll debate her multiple times, and they never agreed to it. And so her campaign got to be like, well, this is the one and only one. Just kidding. We changed our minds.
I'm going to throw this out there for Sam Cedar because I know he just loves my show. He just talks about it all the time.
He loves you. He's in actual love with you.
He wants to date you?
Yeah, he's trying to date me.
Twitter?
Is Sam Cedar homosexual?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Is that by the AOC
I wanted to
rules?
throw this out to him and ask this so he can put this on his show. On the facts, what have we got wrong so far? Okay, so pulling up ABC News and talking about our opinions on the economics of it. So when we say that CNN had a flash poll that showed that before the debate, Trump was ahead by 16 points in the economy, and afterwards it went up to like 20-something. What are we wrong on the facts, right? If you want to argue the opinions, by all means, we can argue the opinions, but what are we wrong about on the facts? And I don't think we're completely right on all the facts. So I'll throw that one out to you, and then you and your friends can get a segment out of it. So there you go. And then we'll jump to the next story here. This one's from the Post-Millennial. 41% of independents say ABC debate moderators were unfair to Trump, favor him on the economy, immigration in a YouGov poll. This is massive, okay? 41% of independents in a post-debate poll said that ABC News was not fair. The poll from YouGov found that 46% of independents said Trump and Harris were both treated fairly during the debate. Among all takers of the poll, 35% of Americans said Trump was treated unfairly. Well, blah, 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 blah. The poll showed the opinion of the major political parties. With independents, the sought-after voter bloc for the election, they believed moderators appeared to show bias. Independents also swung toward Trump after the debate on several top issues. On immigration, 53% of independents said Trump would handle the issue very well or somewhat well. Kamala Harris only got 38%. On the economy, Donald Trump got 59% of independents that said he would handle it very well or somewhat well, whereas only 40% could have said the same for Harris. The polls conducted with 1,407 U.S. adults, blah, blah, blah. So, my question is, for all the leftists out there, when we look at this debate and they're all saying Kamala won, the politicos, the pundits are all saying Kamala won, she won, it's clear, it's obvious. Trump's scared, he won't do a rematch. And I'm just like, but now we have YouGov and CNN showing polls where Trump is leading on the economy and immigration. Economy, of course, is the top issue for the election. It always is. Not completely, but usually. Immigration briefly was, but immigration is also a major top issue, though it is tied to the economy. So let's just start here. People who watch the debate think Trump is better. After watching it, he improved among independents on the economy and immigration. What would the assessment be for the left then? Is it favorable for Kamala Harris? My argument would be, I think that Kamala proved that she was better prepared. She sounded better, and that may work for a lot of people. But I think she failed to define herself in the economy, resulting in Trump winning on, quote, it's the economy, stupid. Mm-hmm. And that's probably going to be a much, much bigger issue than feels. Final thought before I pass it on is when, Ian was in here the other day saying Kamala goaded Trump and Trump walked right into it. It was miserable. And I was like, you're going to vote for her? And he goes, no. So that's the question. She could have won the debate. You can say all the great things about her and she got Trump flustered and she was better prepared, but she didn't win on the issues.
There's such a low bar. I think the Democrats are feeling good because they have a candidate who could just complete sentences, I guess. And the funny thing is like coming out of the debate, what's everybody talking about? They're talking about the cats and they're talking about the dogs. The Democrats are literally at their rally last night chanting, we don't eat cats. I'm like, this is what Trump did in 2015. He literally said the thing about the wall and everyone said it was crazy and it was stupid and he shouldn't have done it. But then everyone kept repeating it until everyone agreed with it.
Oh, that's gonna backfire on them so miserably.
So the cats
think so
thing,
too,
yeah, I think it's
what that
brilliant.
really is that shows that they are not as culturally relativist as they think. Because if they really were accepting and tolerant and open, they would say, I perhaps don't eat a cat, but it is certainly fine if you do.
But they have been saying that. So
Oh, have they?
One of the principal.
It's not happening.
Yeah, I've
It's
seen
good that
the
it's
tweets where
happening.
it's like,
No.
it's part of their culture.
Yeah, right away.
Right, it's part of
Many
the-
leftists
yeah.
said just because you don't like it doesn't mean and they have that. PETA has that meme where it's like it's a bunch of animals in a line, and then it says America, and there's like a line saying like friends and food, and then other countries it's a different line, and they're like, which one's right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of leftists who are saying the conservatives are mad about goose hunting now, and it's like, well, the conservatives are mad that they're playing with their kids in the park, and then some migrant walks up and kills a duck.
But also
It's different. I mean, it's
the geese
hunting,
are
sure.
protected as well.
Right.
They're protected just like the Haitians.
Yeah, it's not legal to go into a park and kill waterfowl.
That's correct.
Well, that PETA meme is good where it has all the animals, has like a horse, and then it goes down to a duck and cat.
Let me
and
pull
then
that one up.
They put the line, as friend or food. But what is weird is why is PETA not coming after this and going after the people that are in Springfield that are actually doing this? Like, why are they not standing up for those cats? That's where I'm kind of confused, I guess.
I think they're probably saying, "Oh, well, the town official says it's not happening, so we don't have to get involved." Because
we
they
saw that
have-
one video of a girl eating a cat in the driveway.
It's not PETA. It's not PETA. I got a correction. It's not PETA. It's veganbillboard.com.
Esteemed organization there.
Yeah, it's like all animals want to live. Where do you draw the line? I got to stop right there and say rabbits are food.
rabbits are the line. They should be flipped with the horse.
Yeah, but
Remember that Michael
people
Moore
eat horse
movie,
too.
Pets or Meat?
Pets are meat.
Pets or Meat.
Oh.
There was a woman in Flint, Michigan selling rabbits for pets or meat.
I had to eat 2 servings of chicken tikka masala today because Alex is vegetarian, and so he didn't eat it. And so for every animal he doesn't eat, I eat 2.
I know
That
that's
makes
what they all do.
sense,
I'm the plant-based pimp. I actually love animals. I think all animals deserve to live, but I know that's a liberal kind of a libtarded take, but I'm okay with that. But honestly, I'm really mad because now on Twitter every day I'm seeing people killing cats.
Yes.
And it's really affecting.
I don't like that
No,
either.
it's
I really like cats.
But it's
Yeah.
wild because like Trump said it, and now it's flooded. Like the zone is flooded with videos of people. I mean, there's a video that Alex and I we saw that
Hit that
it's
cat.
literally the guy. The Haitian guy is biting the neck of the cat,
Mm-hmm.
and he's biting it. And then there's like that 911 body cam footage that we talked about in Springfield.
The guy cooking the cat on that gas
There's the guy
stove.
cooking it. That's in Italy, and it's like obviously it's going to come to America. And then there's like the 911 call recordings of people saying, "Yeah, I'm in the park with my kids." And they're literally just grabbing the geese by the neck and strangling it and walking. I don't know if this is an emergency. I don't know what this is.
I don't really like it. Could you maybe intervene?
But it's like so unbelievable when it happened. People were texting me. They're like, "What is this? It can't even be real," but it's real.
There's a Twitter account, Rick Marazani, who responded, and he says, the PETA billboard asked, so I answered. And he drew the line and says, every day, then the horse and the rabbit is economic collapse, and then all the dogs and cats are apocalyptic afterscape.
We're in the apocalyptic phase of America.
Well, actually, I heard something really interesting about Springfield, Ohio. They say it's a town of 59,000, but I think that census number is old.
And there's 20,000 Haitians, apparently.
So what I've heard is that it's not, the population is nowhere near 59,000. That's the old census numbers, and the population collapsed rather dramatically. And so that's why it's seemingly more pronounced. So when the media comes out and says, oh, their population is 59,000, and there's, the media's been reporting 15,000. It sounds like, okay, well, that's a lot. We're looking at, I don't know, 20 to 30% shift for these people. But when you look at, if it is true that people have been fleeing and moving out because of economic collapse and strife or whatever, small towns have been dying.
Mm-hmm.
It could be closer to 2 to 1 or 1 to 1.
I think this is an interesting point because the first time I saw it reported, Springfield had a population, I think the number I kept seeing was 53,000. Then it was 54,000. Then I kept seeing 59,000. But the number of Haitian migrants has stayed exactly the same, 15,000. How interesting and convenient. I think that's probably not true. I would get if there's some population flux with the town, but if you're going to stay 15,000 is consistent for the Haitian migrants, I feel like you might have a slight bent there.
The 2022 number is 58,000. But when did the Haitian migrants come?
They started coming in 2021 under Joe Biden.
Because then this population count of 58,000 includes Haitian migrants.
And that's part of their whole refugee program, where they admit, like 30,000 refugees from these favored horrible nations per month.
Well, I don't understand. I remember after September 11th, 2001, they signed the Patriot Act, and they told us that we got to get rid of all these terrorists. And then, fast forward 23 years, and we're just importing these terrorists. Not that all Haitians are terrorists, but could you imagine if this was the same story?
You're talking about like the terror watch list people who are crossing the border.
Yeah, I mean, now they just let everybody come across the border, but they were so much stricter in 2001, 2002. Could you imagine if they tried to do this in 2002? They wouldn't let it happen. So it's just kind of sad that we're this far gone.
I think you're just a bigot because you don't want to eat
I'm
cats.
not a bigot. I mean,
Because
listen,
you don't want to eat cats. That's what makes you a
I
bigot,
love
it's
big
fine.
booty Latinas.
like
We
that.
need lots of Latinas. But some of these Haitians, I think that they should have to. This is what makes me mad. My favorite TV show is 90 Day Fiancé, and in that show, you have to get engaged. Like these illegal immigrants will be engaged with an American citizen, and oftentimes it's like a hot girl with like this 500-pound guy. And my point is now they don't have to do that 90-day fiancé gimmick. They just get to get in for free. You used to have to earn the right to be an American citizen.
Through marriage.
Through marriage.
It's
or
really
some
hurting the mail-ordered bride industry.
The mail order bride's crashing. All my buddies.
The mail order bride.
Yeah, I mean, everything's crashing. It just makes me sick that it used to mean something to be an American. And now you can just be a Haitian and then become an Uber driver and then crash into a family of 4, and they don't even charge you with murder. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, right. The governor was talking about that on Fox.
It's ridiculous.
He said that they don't know how to drive because where they come from, they either don't drive or they have different laws.
Totally different roads.
So
Totally different. They don't even have like probably traffic lights.
They come here, and the law is if you're 18, you get a license. And so he's like, but they have no driver. So we're giving them license. They don't know how to drive. They don't know what any of this is.
But don't they have to? I mean, don't you have to take your learner's permit
No.
test and then a
No.
road
When
you're 18.
test?
No.
Well, I think somebody
What?
asked him.
Now when you're 18.
If you're a
do you
migrant,
mean?
if you're a migrant,
When I was 18 in Illinois to get my license, I walked in. They handed me a 10-question folding paper. I went boop, boop, boop. Then I drove around the block and they said, here's your license. Have a nice day.
Okay, that is not how it was for me in Philadelphia when I failed my driving test 3
How old are you?
times. I was 16.
When you're 16,
But
you
it
need a permit
also,
first.
yeah, it was also not true in New York where I eventually got my license and I needed a learner's permit first when I was in my 40s.
New York does that. So in
New York takes things seriously.
in Illinois,
It's a real place.
if you're 16 or 17,
Ohio.
you need a learner's permit first. If you're 18, you can just walk in and get it. And so when I was 16, my parents were like, "Do you want to get your learner's permit?" And I was like, "Ugh, no." You got to do a summer class, and then you get your permit, and then you're allowed to drive if someone else is driving with you with a license. And I was like, "Well, then what's the point?" I was like, "I'll just have them drive." So I said no. As soon as I turned 18, I walked in the DMV, walked out half an hour later with a license.
That's so
I
crazy.
failed my driving test 3
No,
times.
I'm the opposite. I got a hardship license when I was 15, and my dad, we went to the DMV, and he said that he had diabetes, and he didn't, so I hope we don't go to jail. And then I would have to take, because you can get a hardship license if you have like a sick family member or something, and you need to drive them around. So I got my license when I was 15 on the second day, the day after my birthday when I was 15. That was like the most important thing to me was the license. But yeah, we did lie to the DMV, so I hope they don't arrest me for saying this.
what kind of cars did the migrants drive?
The first car that I had was a Ford Explorer, and it stunk. But yeah, the migrants, I think they're getting Uber will pay for your car if you sign up for it. Yes,
No.
they have a plan. Yes, they have a plan where Uber will finance your car. I swear, they have a way through Uber. If you can get registered as an Uber driver, you have like no down payment, and then they take out part of the car payment on what you make.
And then they're doing all this, and it said like they show up to the DMV, they have a translator with them. I'm like, who gave them the translator to go?
Federal government, Joe Biden,
and then
Kamala
who
Harris.
gave them the paperwork? The
translator is Biden.
It's,
Translator is Biden.
It is Biden, yeah.
He's standing there
Migrants
like, "Come
speak
on, man."
more cohesive English than the Biden.
No, I said they're translating for him.
I think Trump saying the dog line or like they're eating the dogs on stage is so interesting because it reminds me of when he said they're not sending their bags.
Yeah.
Or like the
dogs.
all of the stuff because it made mainstream media really mad, but it made average American voters look into it and or have conversations with one another. And a lot of people are impacted by illegal immigration and illegal immigrants' crime. That's really what Trump is.
There was a whole hearing in the House
let's-
this week about immigrant crime.
Let's pull the story from the Post Millennial. Voodoo is real. Marianne Williamson says Democrats attacking claims that Haitians are eating cats will backfire. She called Democrats smug elite jerks who think they're too smart to listen to anyone outside their own silo. I tremendously respect Marianne Williamson for this.
It's based.
But they're already attacking her as the crystal woo-woo lady. but this is what works because I think she knows her strengths now. And so I imagine she's sitting there and being like, they have levied this attack against me, which is unfair and untrue, but now I'm going to flip it back on them. As the crystal woo-woo lady, she's like, voodoo is real. They do this, and you are wrong. Stop. So
Voodoo
now-
is real. They do.
Oh, I know, but I'm
yeah.
saying like she's an expert.
And I feel like she's taking a
They
page.
labeled her the expert. They said she was the crystal lady. And while the crystal lady's telling you these rituals exist. Exist.
I think she's taking a page out of RFK's book of lessons here. Like the Democratic Party is never going to embrace her. They're never going to acknowledge her. And so she might as well be the third party candidate who is saying, actually, this party's awful and they're only in it for themselves. They're not in it for you. They don't tell you the truth. I mean, that was really one of RFK's departing messages when he suspended his campaign.
Maybe she'll endorse Trump next.
Oh my gosh. Really
Unless the Haitians stop eating cats, the dam will break and people will realize that there are pets being eaten. I mean,
so
they can only hide this for so long.
I think the funny thing about it is all the people asking for evidence of it. And it's just like, but they ate the cat. Like, what is the evidence? You're gonna take a stool sample and go get it tested, a colonic, and then see what comes out. Come on.
But it's like there's the legitimate police reports, 911 calls, and then David Muir says, "Well, the city manager says."
Right, the
It's
one
but
guy
there's
who
people
really
calling
doesn't
the
want it to be
police.
true.
Like there's people calling
Yeah.
the police and yeah.
So the challenge is about the dogs, but there are okay. So here's the issue. City manager says there's no credible evidence that this is happening. We've not received any evidence. And viral videos from locals are saying, my neighbors are saying, I've seen it happen. So what happens is the credentialists, the Democrats, say, I'm not going to believe some random guy who lives in Springfield. And the right, the populists, are going, I'm not going to believe some bureaucrat. And that's really where we're at.
But that is where we're at in a lot of cases. And you certainly have Kamala Harris, who doesn't want to talk to any of the locals or average people. She buses in people so that she can make random restaurant stops, and it's all totally faked. Donald Trump shows up at a McDonald's and buys stuff for everybody, and was like, "Hey, yeah, check it out."
Well, do we think that he handled that statement when she said people leave the the rallies early? You know, Trump should have said maybe they leave the rallies early. I think this is a Danny Polishuk joke because he got shot. Maybe that's why they leave. But I don't know. I mean, her rallies suck, but she did fill that stadium. Where was that?
Meg the Stallion.
Meg the Stallion. Then everybody left when Meg the Stallion was done.
but
so I'm saying she's projecting what happened to her.
Right, but Trump doesn't know that, and Trump took the bait.
Yeah.
Trump, she gave Trump a layup right there.
Yeah, it was a kill shot.
He
had the kill shot. Trump
Right.
had the kill shot.
Maybe he just wasn't
could
that
have come out
prepared.
and said,
Talked about the shooting. Yeah.
no, he could have come out and said, excuse me, we're here to talk about the suffering of the American people, and you want to talk about rallies, and if you want to sit here and insult me, we can go backstage and you can insult me. I'll let you do that. But I'm here to tell the American people I'm fighting for them. If that's not what you're interested in doing, then maybe you shouldn't be on stage at all.
Well, sure, that would make a lot of sense, except that is not Trump's jam. He never does that. I mean, one of his fatal flaws, like his biggest flaw is that ego that he has of really wanting everything, like he talks about crowd size, he talks about rallies, he talks about all that stuff. And I think that on the one hand, you're not going to get Trump being who he is without that, but it is sort of a downfall.
Is it true that Trump has a golden toilet?
If I were Trump, I'd
Yes.
have a golden toilet. Why would you not have that?
Trump Tower.
Yeah.
Trump Tower. Could you imagine if Kamala was like, and Trump's gold toilet? Not even real gold. He'd just be like, excuse me,
The carrots are very big.
That is pure gold. It is bent from my body. It mushes. That's how good it is. Trump falls for that too easily.
Yeah, he does. But the one thing though, I think it was Kellyanne Conway at the RNC. She said people don't like his personality. Well, you're not going to get those policies without that personality. So that's part of it too.
Speaking of toilets, Tim has a space toilet, and the seat is heated, Tim. And
it
It's
washes
the
your
Death
butt.
Star.
It does
It's
wash
the
your
Death
butt,
Star
which
toilet.
I need, but
I
when I
always
s-
think it's a Death Star.
The seat is heated, Tim, and this is my main criticism. It feels like somebody was just sitting on there.
I don't like that either.
I don't know if I like that feature. I would maybe a cool
Well, so
seat.
what happens is after someone uses it, it heats up to 1,000 degrees, sterilizing the surface and glowing bright red hot, and then it cools down to a warm 102 degrees.
We
In
need
like
an
a
AC.
millisecond, right?
I'm kidding. It doesn't do
No,
that.
it does get hot though. I'm telling you, it gets hot. So, I don't know. We're talking about toilets. We're talking about cats. And abortion is like the most important issue. I mean, I think we're kind of screwed. I hate to be so black-pilled, but
I think our culture is shattered and fragmented into a million pieces, and I don't know how a civilization or a society survives without any kind of cultural cohesion.
I think that's a really big problem that we have going on, and you can see that across the board with a lot of our cultural offerings, right? I mean, nobody has the same set of shows that they watch. When I was a kid, like I think on Fridays, we'd all go into school and talk about what was on the Cosby Show the night before. You know, I could still probably give you most of that lineup. And that's just not true anymore. People don't read the same books. You never go see the same movies. People don't even watch the same YouTube channels. You know what I mean? It's like everything is so fractured, yet the way that it's fractured and the people who consume those cultural fragments, let's say, aren't even aligned themselves. We were talking about this. I was talking about this with somebody. I forget, but it was like there's not even a scene within those subcultures. It's just you alone with your stuff.
Was Game of Thrones the last time?
Yeah, that was a big deal, right? I mean,
everybody was watching it. It didn't matter if you were right or left. When Khaleesi stepped out of the flames, everybody lost their minds. But I feel like all that's gone now.
That was
First of
the
all,
last
Joe
time.
Exotic was the last time Tiger King.
I think it was Joe Exotic because I didn't watch. I didn't watch Game of Thrones. I know a lot of people did.
I didn't either, but I did feel left out.
And COVID was a time when everyone had nothing else to do, and Netflix did a great job of being like, here is some brand new content because you're all trapped at home. I mean,
one thing everybody did during COVID was make the bread. You know?
Yeah,
Everyone
lots
was
of
making
bread.
the bread.
TikTok had a moment, sold us all kinds of products. I think part of the desire for like cultural cohesion is there, but we have to define our values more definitively, and we're just not willing to do, or at least a part of the country is not willing to do that because it would mean that there is a hierarchy. Not to go back to the cats and dogs thing, but obviously there would be certain things people would be like, we're firmly against this no matter what culture you came from, and there are certain things that we are for. And I think that so they say like 10% of voters are undecided, but actually it's really like 5%. A certain amount of undecided voters lean a certain way. They know they're going to vote right or left.
And then there's a bunch of people that just won't vote.
And that's part of that remaining 5%, which I find fascinating because where are they? What are they doing? What YouTube channels are they watching? They have to be doing something.
They're listening to Call Her Daddy.
Right. No one doesn't participate in online culture at all. And I think Trump's campaign has actually done a better job of going to where voters are in that sense.
But it's not that. It's that they're going to make TikTok videos for virality where they're like, did you see what Trump said? They're eating dogs. Man, click like and subscribe. And then election day comes and they're going to be like, where's McDonald's?
No, you know what I see all the time right now? It's when Lindsay, what's her face, asked Trump like about his plan for ending Obamacare, and he was like, "We have a great plan, but if it's not
concept.
and if it's not going to save money, we're not going to do it." And I keep seeing that clipped everywhere. It'd
I
be
see
like
that too, a
me
concept
when
of
I
a
ask
plan.
my like boyfriend what his plans are for, or what our date night plan is, or like me when my boss asks me when I'm going to turn something in. Like even when that, I didn't think that was a strong moment at the time, but it has become funny. Like Trump has a personality, and I think if you're not interested in politics, you're still buying personality, which Harris just doesn't have one.
No, she's a mean girl personality. She's a bully personality. You know, that's what she's really all about.
She takes, I hear from my
She
sources,
thinks everybody's beneath her.
takes a lot of Xanax and she drinks a lot. I hear that
I
from
can
very
see
good
that.
sources.
That's
I
like
think she's on
that's
Xanax.
That's
Yeah,
a
that's
pretty.
what I hear. Good
that's a pretty
sources.
good combo too. Like
Yeah.
a glass of wine, a half a Xanax, it'll give you a good night.
You probably kind of need Xanax too. You're speaking in front of all those people. You know, she's definitely probably on that. But is America a melting pot, though? I mean, you know, that's what they always taught us in
It
school.
was, not anymore.
Yeah, they
Is
don't
it
want.
not anymore? I mean, but it is. I mean,
The reason why it was because we had three TV channels, and so if an immigrant came here, they turned on TV, they got one of the three channels. Now we have 15 million channels.
Yeah, I think it's really different. And I think one thing that happened is that the American cultural elite hate America, so they don't insist on any kind of assimilation whatsoever. And it used to be, you know, great-grandparents, my great-grandparents came to the country. They wanted to assimilate. They wanted to be American. They didn't want to, you know, speak their native language. My great-grandmother learned how to read from reading the New York Times. My grandparents changed their names so that they would appear more American, you know, to the point where when my grandfather was in his 70s, I used to make fun of him and be like, what are you going to put ketchup on your pasta? What is this? You're Sicilian. What's going on? But I think that has really changed. So when you have the stewards of American culture hating American culture, these are our museums and our, you know, government entities, our libraries, our universities.
statues.
You know, when
that's
they
right.
when they hate America, then immigrants come in. Their kids learn to hate America in our schools. Why would they want to uphold American values when they're taught that they should just be hated?
When I was a kid growing up in Chicago, we had, I think it's reasonable to say we had 8 channels on the TV. So I mean, like a little kid, you turn the TV on. Let's see, what was reasonable, and maybe 8's being generous. So you had Channel 2, CBS, NBC, ABC, WGN, And then I'll just jump to 32 and 50. So technically just 6. However, to be fair, Channel 11, I know it existed, but it wasn't a prominent cultural
Is that
force.
like Pix?
PBS, WTTW.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you had 26 The U, but that was typically like reruns and, just like more weird local stuff. So, but it is fair to say there's a channel. Channel 44 was Spanish language. But even then, and then you had, I think, 60, which was like QVC or something. That was it. You turn the TV on, you flip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you're done. That's it. There's nothing else you're going to watch. And so most of the people I grew up with, you were either watching Channel 7 or you're watching Channel 32. Channel 32 was Fox. We had Simpsons. So you'd watch The Simpsons Thursday at 7 or whatever, I think, back in the day. And then we had TGIF on, I think that was ABC. And so everybody watched the same show. The next day, everybody had the same jokes. Everybody knew. But there was cable, but most of the people where I grew up south side of Chicago didn't have cable. Some people did.
Yeah, I didn't have cable.
It was
for a long
expensive.
time,
People couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Plus, even once we got cable, I wasn't allowed to watch it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Didn't your dad make you like read a book a day or something? What was it?
My dad was pretty strict about education, which in retrospect, I super appreciate. Yeah. I mean, he would make me do 2 hours of homework every night. And if I didn't have 2 hours of homework, I had to like make it up. So it would be reading and stuff.
I'm still traumatized from, I remember my mom, we watched Pulp Fiction before she knew what happened in that scene where they go and get the gimp suit. And I was way too young for that. So I think that's why I'm so damaged today.
Really?
I think so. Let's jump to this. We got this from Post Millennial. Movie theaters cave to pressure from leftist activists. Cancel screenings of Matt Walsh's "Am I Racist?" So this is Del Oro Theater saying, "Dear patrons, due to the strong reactions from our community for and against, and concerns for the well-being of our staff, we will not be playing the film Am I Racist as originally intended. Please know that it was not our intention to cause such a division by playing the film. We noticed that many of the theaters in Sacramento area were booked to play this film, and quite frankly, this reaction caught us off guard. The safety of our staff is number one priority." So Robbie Starbuck tweeted this out. He says, "Wow, left-wing activists are now bullying small movie theaters into dropping Am I Racist? Another theater owner told me that they've been told small theaters like this are being targeted with threats from left-wing activists. The left is terrified of this film because it's not only hilarious, but it's effective at dismantling their dangerous ideology. We need to pack the theaters with sold-out showings to make this movie even bigger." I don't know what else you're doing this weekend. I mean, maybe you got plans. So I ain't telling you your plans are bad. I'm just saying, periodically, it's the weekend and, I'm hanging out with friends and we're like, what do you want to do? We go bowl, we'll go do karaoke. We'll see, are there any movies? And we check to see if there's movies out. There is a movie out and it's already, you already know it's funny.
I saw it.
It was funny.
I saw it twice. It was really good.
Twice.
Yeah. Well, because I got the screener and I did a review of it based on the screener.
VIP over here.
I know. Yeah. And then, I've been covering a bunch of this whole
And so, what on a scale of 1 to 10?
I saw it at the. I went to the premiere on Monday in Nashville.
Would you give it a shillingly good 10 out of 10 or a reasonable, I'm gonna try and seem not biased, 8 out of 10?
I think I would probably give it somewhere around like a 7 or 8 out of 10.
7? Oh, yeah. She went down.
Wow.
Oh, that's basically saying it's an F.
But no, it's not at all because I have really high standards for movies, and also
I give it 11
have
out of
not
10.
Great taste in movies. So my favorite movies, a lot of people think they're bad.
I'm going to give it an 11. I give it 11 out of 10, and I haven't even seen it, but it's because all these woke people disabled their X accounts.
I think it's really funny, and I think it's really well done. And one thing that I really loved was how many of the anti-racist activists just got skewered. And I loved that. You had Robin DiAngelo, and she is so fake. She is such a grifter. And she was, she admitted her white privilege to one of the producers who's black. And
she paid him reparations.
Handed cash. And then you had Sarah Rao and Regina Jackson, who I think are just two miserable, horrible women. And they hold these dinners where women pay thousands of dollars to be told that they suck.
Yeah.
And the women will be sitting there drinking wine, like crying. And Sarah Rao and Regina Jackson, they will be like, "Those tears are violence. You white women's tears are responsible for so much horror in the world." And you have this one woman who in the film who's like, "Well, my husband is black, and maybe I'm racist because sometimes we're in public, I ask him to keep his voice down." And and Sarah Rao goes, "Yeah, so that's tone policing, and that's definitely racist." And she basically convinces this woman that she's racist against her husband and her own children.
And then Matt has them all toast to being racist. Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't believe they pulled this off.
Yeah.
It's from what I've seen in the trailers and the sneak peeks, it looks like it's bigger and better than What Is a Woman.
I just think he could have gone harder at the end, and that's why I give it a little less than.
Really?
Yeah, I just think he could.
So
have gone
you
harder.
think the ending wasn't good? The story wasn't there, or what?
I think it was. I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers.
He didn't learn any lessons. The main character.
He did. I just thought he could have been
Cliffhanger.
tougher on the white people at the end. Like really, I just think he could have been a little tougher on those people.
I haven't seen a movie in the theater since before COVID.
I had a great time seeing the movie. I thought it. I mean,
did like it?
I thought it was
I may
good.
go see
and
this one.
I watched it with my son, and he loved it too.
I want to go see Reagan.
So you're admitting to sharing your screener with non-staff.
Correct.
Busted.
Yeah, I watched it with him. He was very excited about it. He wanted to see it. you
Oh, because
know?
he's a big Matt Walsh fan.
He really likes Matt Walsh. And I actually saw Matt Walsh at the premiere, and I was like, my son thinks you're great. And he was like,
Oh, is that where you went recently? You went to the premiere.
yeah, in Nashville, which
Yeah.
was really a lot of fun. I mean, Mary was there from
Yeah,
PCC, and that was cool.
Did you see? I think Matt Walsh's next documentary. It's called "What Is a Jew?" I think
Oh, nice. Is he going to do like the ringlets? And
he's gonna go to Israel. And
great. Is he going to get circumcised? and
maybe I
go
don't
for
know.
the whole
Maybe,
thing?
but
I heard this. I don't know if it's true, but I heard that Daily Wire was pro-Israel.
I haven't caught up on that one yet.
yeah, I haven't heard that
Dude,
one.
the Israel stuff makes people go insane.
It does. It really does. And there are some conspiracies, and we're on YouTube. We can only get into it, but it's like. This is what I don't like about the anti-Israel narrative, and you can have criticism of Israel. People talk about the USS Liberty and all this stuff, but it's just like this victimhood mentality where you blame everything on one place or one people. It's just they're not the root of all of our problems.
This is why I bring it up, because what I hear the Israel stuff, they're literally saying Jewish privilege. And I was like, I tell these people, like, you could exchange the word Jew and white, and you're saying the exact same thing as these woke racist activists.
Exactly right. You nailed it with that.
You've identified a group of people. You've isolated certain behaviors without looking at the greater picture of things. You've determined that they are the ones oppressing you, and now you're activists for that cause, targeting this group of people based on their ethnicity or race. I'm like, I don't see a difference between white privilege and what you're saying.
Well, we went entirely wrong as a culture when we stopped thinking that being colorblind was the best way to be actually non-racist. I think that was a huge mistake, because then as soon as you say, well, I'm not racist, but I'm going to identify people by their racial and ethnic groupings and similarities, and I'm going to ascribe to those groups specific characteristics and also give them specific characteristics as they relate to other ethnic and racial groups. Now you're doing exactly the opposite of the American Melting Pot Project.
It's just funny to me, this idea that like these woke DEI people doing these seminars, there can be like a black man from the Hamptons who's like Harvard educated and worth $17 million from like third generation wealthy industrialist family. And he walks into a workplace and they immediately go, "Do you need help?" And it's just like, that's racist. Like,
Well, it's
That's the racism.
yeah, you don't know
like
anything
that's
about
the
this
racist
guy.
of low expectations.
Exactly.
That's like such a huge thing. I think that's a really
And
big
then they
deal.
get mad at me, because they say you're not allowed to say Asians are good at math.
and they are good.
And my mom makes math videos.
Yeah. Well, does she really? Is
She
that
does.
good? She's that good at math.
She's got a big YouTube channel and everything.
Wow. I'm
making
gonna
math
go, I'm
videos.
gonna go
Your
subscribe.
mom is super cool, though.
I didn't realize that.
She's got a big channel. Yeah,
She occasionally sends me news tips.
over 100,000 subscribers and everything.
Wow.
Doing math.
That's awesome,
A
actually.
lot of Asian subscribers. Sure.
Yeah.
Actually does. Yeah, but
Well, you speak about your mom. I just want to say this. I'm sure I don't know anybody's grandparents here, but my grandparents are a little racist. But was the country better when all of our grandparents were racist? Like our grandparents had grew in a different time. Where you
that's
could
a bad
kind of-
question.
Why?
Because
That's a corollary, not causation.
right. So we can say things like, first of all, how do you define whether the country was better or not better? Because there's so many different elements of a country.
Well,
that
you
define
could say
whether-
that people could afford a single family home. I think that's a big indication.
But my point is this, right? The reason people could afford a single family home off a high school education has nothing to do with race. It wasn't that because we decided that racism was bad, all of a sudden we became poor. The problem was corrupt individuals exploiting issues of race, exacerbating the racism, and driving cultural wedges, I think, is contributing to economic instability, but still not the principal factor.
Yeah, and I don't think racism is the worst thing. Like I'm saying, I think racism is bad, but I don't think everybody's racist. Like maybe people have like, preconceived stereotypes and they kind of tease different cultures. But like if you're at the grocery store, you're not going to be like, I'm not checking out this person's groceries. I mean, I don't think that segregation exists. So I don't know. It's like the media making us, pitting us against each other.
That's like that on purpose because they want to take the identity that we have as Americans, and they don't want there to be an identity of Americans. They want it to be identity of I'm black, I'm Jewish, I'm whatever. And that's how they divide us. And they're taking the identity of America away. That's why they import the Haitians. And I think people who, like, not to belabor on the cats thing, but they see that and they just go, well, this just isn't how we are in America. And they see it and they go, I want just normal American culture back,
Well,
yeah.
to
We want
fair,
hamburgers on the grill.
Yeah, just so it's the
Hot
American
dogs.
stuff. Yeah, hot dogs.
I do want
Apple pie, Tim.
I want to make this point. We're getting really mad at Haitians for eating cats, yet
I'm not mad at them.
Well, everybody here's been to a Chinese super buffet and had cat, probably. If you've had the bourbon chicken at any mall, you've probably had a little cat.
I
You
mean,
think that's cat? I would have thought that would be a little more rat. Than
so
There's definitely some rat in there, I'm
what's the-
sure.
I
what's
think
the
rat
origin of
is
that
a little
claim?
more chicken-like than
What,
cat.
that Chinese buffets have cats in their food?
but, like, is this
I posted a video where they're
Oh, actually, in China, it
yeah, and they have the Yulin
China's
Dog
real,
Meat
yeah.
Festival, the summer solstice, where
So
they
I
eat dog meat because they think it helps them with their sexual, getting an erection.
I know that
Well, in the US,
the
people
woke
used to-
activists at YouTube are going to be like, you can't say that Chinese people eat cat. No, like it's in Guangdong, cat meat is a main ingredient in the traditional dish. It's called dragon tiger phoenix. It's snake, cat, and chicken.
And look, type in a Chinese menu, and they have menus where they'll show like the prettiest cat. They'll show like a golden retriever and a beautiful like Garfield-looking cat, and there'll be a price, and you can just pay for it. That's real. That's in China. That's not a conspiracy. And that's their culture.
And there's animal activists that are actually calling this stuff out.
Of course, there's people that go and save
Animal
dogs every
activists
year.
are saying that there's an underground trade of cat and dog that are used for meat.
But to Alex's earlier point, where is PETA right now, right?
Yeah.
Like they were calling it out at one time, but once Trump becomes associated with the "Don't Eat the Pets" cause, they're suddenly like weirdly quiet.
You see, Trump is like posted last night. He like was just like shit posting, and he just posted like 4 in a row on Instagram of like AI memes of him saving the cats.
Who was making those for him?
Yeah, do we
Barron?
like?
He's
wait,
like-
that's a
somebody's making.
No,
he, like, posted
hold
4 in a
on.
row.
Like New York Post. This is from April. Dozens of dogs, cats arriving in NYC spared from Chinese slaughterhouse are being served as meat.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
real.
that's right.
There's a lot
Like
of
people
activists do that.
just say like it's a joke or it's a gag, but they're animal activists trying to save these animals from illicit meat trades.
But immigration
Google
is
the-
a gift to the nation.
Google the Yulin Dog Meat Festival. It's a whole festival
yeah,
where
yeah.
everybody eats it, and part of the reason why
That's in China. This is in New York City.
yeah, well, this is them saving the dogs. So they take the dogs from Yulin or wherever, and then they bring them to America, and then they rehome them.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah, I think Vietnam, it's big to eat dog as well, right?
Well, yeah, my good friend Lila Hart, and she's a comedian. She's been on this show, and she's had dogs. She's like, yeah, and she's Filipino or Filipina.
Dogs can smell if you've ever eaten a dog.
No, they can't.
Yeah.
Dogs
Yeah, you said that the other day.
I believe it. So they have dogs trained to smell if you're gonna have a seizure. Dogs trained to smell if you have cancer. And so I heard this a long time ago from a dog trainer, and he said that dogs can smell if you've ever eaten dog, and they'll growl at you and they'll get mad at you, or they'll not trust you because they can smell that you've eaten dog before. and
How
they're
can
like,
they smell it, even if it's like a
How can they
year
smell
ago?
seizures?
Yeah, how can they smell? They can
how can
supposedly
they
smell
smell
cancer. And,
Right.
Yeah, so
They can smell when someone's gonna have a seizure. Like, what does a person give off that the dog's like, I can smell a seizure coming, and it freaks out? Watch these videos; it's crazy. The person's like sitting at their computer typing, and the dog runs up and goes, oh, and then they're like, oh crap, and then they lay down, and the dog puts them in a recovery position, and they start seizing. Like the dog warns them the seizure is coming. I don't know, man. I believe it, and I would never eat dog.
I actually had a friend
because
who was having seizures, and she got a dog who could smell her seizures.
Yeah,
and
I
it
don't-
wasn't even like a special dog.
I don't think you should eat dog because we are a society. Dogs are good people. But I also just think it's dangerous because imagine this. You're visiting Vietnam or you're visiting China, and then there's a guy and he's got a dog going, and you're like, what's the big deal? I'll try some dog. I mean, why not? Then you come back home and you're walking in Central Park, and there's a guy and a woman, they got a golden retriever, and he catches the Frisbee, and the dog just catches it, stops, looks at you, and you're like, why is the dog mad at me? And then all the dogs are just like, "Grr," and then you're like, why are the dogs mad at me? What have I done? And imagine never being able to be friends with the dog again.
it'd be
That's a
tough.
sad life.
That would be terrible.
I can't be friends with sharks now that I've eating
I
sharks.
don't think the
I don't
shark's
think
going to
that
care.
you want to be friends with sharks anyway.
No, sharks are all right.
Yeah, maybe.
Are they? What do we think about SeaWorld? Should SeaWorld be shut down? Do you think that's animal cruelty?
Yes,
keeping a
absolutely.
whale? Yeah, because their dorsal fin or whatever it's called in the wild, it stays straight, but whenever they're in captivity, it always folds. That's a great documentary.
I have no problem with
Black fin or black
sanctuaries. So I went to an aquarium in North Carolina where they had turtles and stuff that were gravely injured and couldn't survive on their own anymore.
Yeah.
And so they can't hunt. And so they had it's like a 30-year-old turtle with a scar, like a big scar from when it was nearly killed but survived. And they're like, well, if we just let the turtle go, it'll die. So it's here not because we're, keeping it in captivity for entertainment, but because, we're going to give it food and keep it alive.
But I am under the impression where I do think we need to have zoos. Like, I know a couple animals, their quality of life might not be that good, but you can learn, kids can see them. I think it is important to have, zoos. And even though it's not great for the animal, I do think it's
I
important.
feel like there are researchers at zoos, but I don't know that SeaWorld has the same kind of educational component. It might not as far, but it's just as far as I know. Like, I think I went to it once, and it's also like a water park.
Yeah, they have rides and stuff.
So it's like a little bit different. Whereas, like, I agree with you. I think there are animals that we want to research, we want to understand them. But when it becomes purely about look at Shamu swimming in the circle,
selling a $75 ticket.
but
What about
It's-
regular
it's-
zoos? What about mammal zoos?
Well, we have the
creature
the zoo over in Catoctin, which I think is totally fine. Mm-hmm. I got no problem with that. They got monkeys and stuff.
Yeah,
There was that whole lawsuit over the elephant at the Bronx Zoo, where there was a group saying because she had touched a white dot on her forehead, she had human level of cognition and therefore deserved a certain level of human rights. And they wanted to move her to it because they were like, her enclosure's not big enough or something like that. And I think the elephant's name was Happy, if I'm not wrong. I reported on the story a while ago. But her caretakers at the Bronx Zoo were like, if that's even true, which we don't agree with, then she's lived here her entire life. She was born in captivity. And so if you take her away from the only home she knows, you're inflicting emotional distress.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
there used to be a human. Well, I wanted to make this last point. There used to be a human at the Central Park Zoo. It was like a pygmy. They had a human.
Really?
Google it right now. Human in the Central Park Zoo.
We'll look that up.
It was
Let's talk
Lindsey
about the
Graham.
news.
It was-
Let's jump to the big news. This is the big headline news. How Donald Trump's close friendship with glam conspiracist Laura Loomer, 31, is threatening to blow up his presidential run, as insiders say his campaign managers don't care if he wins or loses.
I would like to just congratulate whoever at the Daily Mail wrote this headline, because glam conspiracist is really, that is a great descriptor,
That's her new
I think
Twitter
it's
bio.
wonderful.
She's gotta
I would
love that.
If I were Laura Loomer, I would put glam conspiracist on everything from now on. I'd get a shirt.
Look at this. It's funny. The former president was asked by Laura Loomer, comma, who once claimed 9/11 was an inside job, comma, when. That's so stupid. Imagine being like 18 and then you're on the internet and you type it, and then now you're 31. You're like, I was just some dumb kid typing stupid things on the internet, and they're like, but you did say it.
Well, that's what's funny about Kamala Harris is how she talks about how her values haven't changed, even though every single one of her positions has changed. It wasn't from when she was a kid. It was literally 5 years ago. She was in her 50s.
He said,
then, too.
Laura is a supporter. She has very strong opinions. She's a free spirit. I can't tell Laura what to do, he replied. She flew on the plane with him to the debate. She's not a campaign staffer. She's not part of the campaign. She was on this trip, but by no means is she part of the campaign in the official capacity, the campaign source told the Mail. So you can tell it's a slow news day when they're literally running front page headline stories because Laura Loomer hung out with Donald Trump. I do like the word conspiracist, though, to tack on to what Libby was saying. Conspiracist.
Put that
great.
on a business card.
Yeah, it sounds like she crafts them. Like
Right.
she's sitting there like folding paper and like drawing lines and making the conspiracies for other people.
It's her trade.
Like, you ever ask, like, where do conspiracy theories come from?
Laura Loomer.
The conspiracists.
Conspiracist.
But I will say this. I believe that the world has only yet begun to see the capabilities of Laura Loomer in generating press.
Yeah, she's incredibly
When she's 50, she's going to be in the front page of every story all the time, 24/7. So she chooses, because she has consistently proven over the past 8 years that when she wants to be the story, she does it.
You were saying
Yeah,
it,
that's a
that
talent.
she's more effective than members of Congress. And you see people coming out and they're attacking her. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene went crazy, and that she kind of started this, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then you saw like Lady G, Lindsey Graham, and like all these like senators.
Did
and
Lindsey
people.
Graham
yeah,
comment? I
Lady
didn't see
G
that.
was
I mean-
very. I mean, he's just mad because he has an identity crisis. With himself, with the hookers at the
Male
RNC in
hookers.
2016, but male hookers, yes. But Laura Loomer, I think they're just jealous. They're bitter. It's always like this snake pit, like with around the Trump orbit. Everyone's trying to get in. Everyone's trying to work their angle. And they don't like it that Laura's been extremely effective online and that she's been able to get President Trump's ear. And she's, in there flying on the plane. And they saw that and they spazzed out. And I think it's just people in Congress or people who want to be close who are planting these stories about her.
Yep.
And they're just trying to
helping
make
her.
They're actually, and they're also hurting Trump because they should be. It's so selfish when they go out and talk about it. Every single Republican right now should be talking about Trump winning. And this whole thing about the campaign managers not caring. It's like Trump has never been better in these swing state polls. Again, New Jersey, my state, he's within 3 points. He's within a couple points in Virginia, Minnesota, New Hampshire. It's like he's polling better in swing states than he ever has. So when everyone's like, oh, the campaign managers, what exactly are they doing that isn't good? I'm wondering what's so bad about right now where he stands in the race. I think Trump's in great shape.
Do you think that the goal is to create internal chaos? I mean, if there already is kind of a knives out environment, people are worried maybe about where this could lead them. If they want to be in the administration, they don't want to give up their ties. Is it sort of media pressure to make it seem like there needs to be some sort of staffing switch up just to cause chaos in the campaign?
Yeah, I think people want themselves and their people to be like calling the shots. So like they throw other people under the bus and they see Laura as somebody who's coming in totally from left field, like getting onto the plane, getting Trump's ear. And then everyone just like kind of bugs out about it, and to Tim's point, they just like, they brand her these things and they go crazy and they gang up on her because of how effective she is.
Did you feel like you were kind of an outsider when you were planning the Wildwood rally?
Well, they didn't want me to speak. So actually what happened was they were the local GOP people were trying to get me out of speaking. So this is actually the true story. I wanted to speak at the rally. Obviously the GOP people didn't want me to speak at the rally. And what happened was they told Trump these things about me. Long story short, told the Trump campaign that myself and Roger Stone responded to those allegations. Trump campaign looked at what was said and looked at the facts on both sides and said, wow, these people lied about Mike Crispi. He's going to speak at the rally. And that actually affirmed my position to do that. So, yeah, I mean, I've been the victim of it where, people don't want you to gain an edge of influence. They tried to kick me out as an RNC delegate. Same thing. Mike Crispi's doing this or Mike Crispi's doing that. And these grown men will turn into, petty high schoolers and they'll plant stories or say things and they just try to get it into the funnel in the chaos and just try to, okay, he's blacklisted now. So they try to do that all the time. I mean, that's what's happening right now in any campaign around the country, happens in the White House, Democrat, Republican. And as Trump said, the only difference with him and the Democrats is that Kamala doesn't fire the people who are fighting each other and screwing up.
Would we agree, though? I do think the Republican Party is incredibly fractured, though. You don't think so?
In what capacity?
Well, just the fact that a lot of people hate Donald Trump, and then you see a lot of the DeSantis people are still bashing Trump. I do think it is fractured.
And a lot of people right now are, I think, in the party chomping at the bit that, if they steal the election and Trump is not successful, that they will have knives out for all the people like, me and others who are like legitimately always been in Trump's camp since day one, like the RNC types who they didn't even care about the result of the election. They just care about, keeping the paycheck flowing and they're like liking Trump now. There's a lot of those people.
I don't like either party. I don't like the parties.
Yeah.
I just want to see proper policy and things that actually make sense. And right now the Republicans have it. They have a lot of problems, but they have the more correct side of things.
Well, the left is fractured too with all the Palestine.
Right, but they're nuts.
Yeah.
Like the DEI stuff. I mean, what they're proposing is just illogical nonsense. And so the Republicans are offering up something functional.
I think
Like,
the
okay.
Republicans are prepared to be more fractured just by the nature of the political philosophy. Like, I think Republicans are much more open to libertarians, right? Or they're much more open to, the Tea Party movement didn't like break the party. It just kind of shows that there is a different movement. And even the MAGA movement, there is fighting. On the other hand, ultimately, there's an expectation that the Republican Party is constantly kind of going over its values and aware of these influences. Whereas I feel like my impression of the Democratic Party is that their expectation for their voters is that no matter what, they comply and fall in line. They don't have to court voters the way that Republicans kind of always do because there are different perspectives within the party. They expect compliance. And that's why the Israel-Palestine issue is something they're really struggling to get over because they haven't had to compromise within themselves. They are expecting fear and compliance, and it's not really working the way they would have wanted it to this time. Like when Trump went to the LNC, the Libertarian National Convention, he was like, I'm going to put a libertarian in my cabinet. But Kamala vowed to put she said she would consider putting a Republican in. So it's not even a full promise. And she's talking about the other major political party. She could have said, I would entertain putting a member of the Libertarian or the Green Party in, right? She could have appealed to independents.
Shout out Jill Stein.
Instead, the Democrats viewed it as us versus Republicans. And I think Republicans have a different view of kind of just the nature of politics in America. Maybe that's just my take, but.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I didn't realize how fractured the left is until Ilhan Omar still won, even though AIPAC spent all that money against her. So it kind of shows me like, oh man, maybe there is, something to this. Maybe the, Palestine stuff will actually change the election. And I hope it does. I hope people lose support for Kamala.
And there are environmentalists that are really mad at both the Joe Biden administration and, in that sense, the
environmentalists are why? Because
Yeah,
they stopped fracking. I thought they were pretty good for the environment.
I can't remember what it was today, but he just repealed a bunch of restrictions that environmentalists were mad about. I mean, they staged the whole summer of heat protests this whole year. And, if you take corporate money, if corporate monies are pro whatever oil and gas, you're likely to upset environmentalists. I think that they're, again, like, Democrats present a facade of like we're all in this together because they ignore fracturing the parties, and it's just gotten so deep they can't. Republicans are used to fighting amongst each other, whether that's good or bad.
Probably bad.
Probably bad, but you're more prepared for it, right? Democrats aren't recovering from the fighting with them.
I mean, I got to say, though, with Trump, we often say that the Republicans are the Washington Generals to the Democrats' Harlem Globetrotters, but it kind of feels inverted right now with Democrats. They're the B team, They've got no strong, charismatic lineup.
But then after Trump, who does the Conservative Party have? Who do Republicans have? With DeSantis and his high heel shoes?
Vivek.
Listen, Vivek says all the right stuff, but does he have any experience? You really think he's going to be that great?
Did Trump?
No, but Donald Trump was a billionaire. Donald Trump was the most famous guy on earth before he became president.
True.
He's much different than Vivek.
More famous, but Vivek is also an industrialist. 500 million, fine. He's not a billionaire. He's halfway there.
Yeah, but Trump had swag. Vivek does not have the swag.
That's true. I
mean,
do you think Vivek's
a little bit sooty,
Do you think Vivek would take the Senate seat that Vance would have to?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be good. I like Vivek. I'm just saying he's not Donald Trump. Let's just be real.
Your point, Alex, is that like who is after Trump? If Republicans aren't
maybe it's
successful.
Alex.
Yeah, I think maybe it could be Alex.
No.
I think that is the big question because Democrats really are seeing this election as a referendum on MAGA and that entire movement itself. So you've had a lot of them come out and say that if Trump loses, that's the end of MAGA.
It is.
And they say that there's nobody who comes after Trump. There's no heir apparent at all.
Trump didn't start it. Trump is a symptom of it.
I agree with that,
whatever it
100%.
is.
You think MAGA lives on if he
Yeah,
loses?
I mean, there have been movements like this for decades at this point. It started with Ross Perot. And then we had the Tea Party, and now we have MAGA, and there's going to continue to be a populist movement in this country until they put us all in the gulags.
This is a big mistake the Democrats keep making when they think that defeating Trump ends this.
True.
And it's not because Trump, listen, when Trump's own rally boos him, they're like, it's a Trump cult. And then Trump's at a rally and he's like, we did Operation Warp Speed. And they go, boo. And he's like, well, okay, whatever. It's not a cult. It's just that Trump is a symptom of the anger felt by many Americans who were, I feel like it really came from Occupy. Mm-hmm. I believe Occupy led directly into Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. I think that makes sense.
The media doesn't want to tell you the truth. Occupy was not initially far left crackpot nonsense. And I've told Steve Bannon this. If only he came down in the early days and bullhorned, it would have been a bipartisan populist movement. But because the right just assumed, and I think Fox News sold him out, the narrative was that Occupy was far left. Not in the beginning. The far left came and took it over very quickly. But people were angry at the Obama administration they were angry at the Great Recession, followed by the big bank bailouts.
Mm-hmm. Those were infuriating.
And then this is Obama. This is 2011. This is Obama. And the Occupy movement's angry. Obama ends up getting reelected because Occupy's, I don't think, a big enough movement necessarily to stop, say, the Democratic machine. But probably a large component of why Obama actually ends up winning another term is because the right did not embrace the populist anger that had festered up all across the country. They mocked it and ridiculed it.
Well, this is a tough question. Would it have been better if Mitt Romney won, knowing what we know about Mitt now?
No, but my point is this. After Obama backstabs everybody, So it's Occupy Wall Street. People are furious. I remember Sean Hannity was ragging on Occupy, and everyone on the right, Breitbart, was screaming at these people. And I'm like, well, you lost it. There was populist outrage. There were people of all different backgrounds, and the right gave it up. Whatever, fine by me. And then, so Obama gets elected again. And then everyone's just like, that's it, I'm done. 9 million people who voted for Obama switched to Trump in the next election, saying no more. None of this. So it's not that the sentiment of Occupy is universal, but enough people who felt that anger wanted Donald Trump. Why? Michael Moore said it best. He was a human Molotov cocktail being thrown into the machine. The greatest FU in the history of mankind.
So yeah, the movement lives on. But, I think the point you're making, Alex, is that somebody in the Trump figure, like who takes it over and who's the leader of it. I mean, you'll have 10 people try to be like the Trump figure, but no one will ever be like Trump, right? So in 2028, no matter what happens, 10 people are going to try to do that. If Trump wins, J.D. Vance will try to do it. I don't think he's got it. Vivek, we like Vivek.
Nikki Haley, dude.
Nikki Haley's going to jump in and say, we're done with this. You'll have, so many people who are going to jump in, but nobody's going to be like Trump. And it's like the Democrat Party right now. They don't have the Democrat Party doesn't have a figure. Kamala's just a puppet. And the reason they don't fight on the Democrat Party, I think, is because the difference between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party is like, top down, controlled by a much smaller group of people who then cascade everything out. Republicans obviously have a lot of, fragmented fractures and people of influence, and
They
stuff
reflect
like that.
the populist
yeah,
nature of the
reflect,
party.
yeah. When Democrats, like, it's militaristic.
Yeah, I think
top down.
I think one of the challenges is that we have to move away from the mentality of who is the next Trump. Like, no one is going to be Donald Trump. There couldn't be, right? But who represents the values and goals of the movement best? And I think there are a number of candidates that could do that. And I'm actually...
What do you like?
Yeah, who? Name one.
I mean, I think... Again, if we're going down to the populist movement, like I can't say who's going to emerge as like the best federal leader, but I do think J.D. Vance is interesting. I think that
Do you like J.D. Vance that much? Because speaking of swag, I don't think he has that much swag. Have you seen some of these?
He's vanilla yogurt.
He is, and Mike.
It's not
Pence,
it's not a bad thing. It's like I enjoy it, but he's not razzle dazzle with sprinkles.
Yeah. I like Andrew Bailey out of Missouri. I think he's doing really interesting things.
He's doing great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is like. This would be sort of the blessing of 4 more years of Trump, which is that there are people who are in the early stages of their career who could move into interesting positions. I think that that's like one of the hard things about
If
trying
people
to be
will
like,
take the job.
I don't see
jobs.
J.D. Vance or Bailey as look, what Trump is a rock star. J.D. Vance will never be Donald Trump. No. He's a good politician. He's a good speaker. And I don't mean to insult him by saying vanilla yogurt. I'm saying he's a very ordinary in the political sense.
universally appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, what I mean to say is not like he does really well. He's great at what he is and what he represents, and that's probably why Trump chose him. He's a stabilizing force of normalcy, but people want celebrity.
I agree. That's
They're-
why
the
Rock-
Democrats have nothing. Republicans have like morsels. After Donald Trump, who has the pizzazz? I don't know.
See, I think that just emerges over the next 4 years. Like I said, if you're looking for an exact replica of Donald Trump, it'll never happen. But 4 years is a long time. I think that you will see personalities developing. And in contrast with the Democrat bench, they are divided over major issues. And on top of that, they're like they tout out like Max Frost, the congressman from Florida. He's really young. Okay, cool. You're trying to argue that you guys have the youth movement. You have the youngest person in Congress. AOC has been around for a while, and I think she could probably get reelected to her district, but she'll never have national appeal.
You don't think so? I think that she's the third most popular politician behind Trump and Biden. Probably.
I don't think she could win the Electoral College. I mean, I think people like her in the way that
How would she campaign in Iowa?
I
don't know. People say it's so crazy, but I do think that
that's because you feel a certain
I
level
do.
of
Yeah,
affection
there's
for
a little
her.
more.
that
There's
the
a little more
rest of
to
the
it.
there is a little a deeper connection. But I honestly think that AOC has a very big chance of kind of taking over the party. Maybe I'm naive when I say that, but I do think that she's popular. I think that even though she's crazy, I actually respect her more than some conservatives because I do believe that she believes what she says, and she's not as two-faced as some people. Like even though
She
she's
is consistent.
She
She's
voted.
consistent.
She voted against the trading thing. She wanted the members of Congress not to be able to trade stocks.
Yeah.
AOC was championing that. That's a pretty
I do think
commendable.
I think she's more popular than Kamala Harris, believe it or not. But
Oh,
well, I think that's
100%
easy.
more
That's
popular
obvious.
Yeah,
than,
so-
than Kamala Harris. She's 100% more popular.
I could see her hanging out like Nancy Pelosi. Like as far as I know, Nancy Pelosi never ran for president. I don't even know if there was an exploratory committee for it ever. I mean, I think AOC.
I think she was pretty happy with her
Right.
insider
I think AOC
trading.
will stay in Congress, but I don't, to leave that behind and shift to a different sphere like the executive branch, it's not what everyone wants to do. And I also think with the MAGA movement, because it's so populist, you have to start looking at state governors. State governors get to say, well, I'm not in Washington. I stood here and fought for my state.
Yeah.
And as much as there are like interesting members of Congress who, like Thomas Massey does all kinds of interesting things.
Thomas Massey's great.
I think that just my personal theory is that the MAGA movement will actually look for AGs and governors to lead that like fresh-faced charge that Trump, as a billionaire businessman, also could say, I'm not part of this institution.
Well, we talk about Nancy Pelosi stock trading, but I believe right now the person who's benefiting the most from the stock exchange and insider trading is Dan Crenshaw, who's a conservative Republican. So if he's like next in line, we're totally.
No, he's
I don't
done.
think he is.
He's sort
the
of
worst.
much more on the establishment side, isn't he?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the biggest neocon ever.
Eye patch McCain.
He's
Yeah.
terrible. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't want to try to be so black-pilled. There probably will be somebody that's cool, but nobody's going to have the swag of Donald Trump.
But nobody's going to have the swag of Donald Trump. I mean, nobody has had the swag of
Maybe
Donald
Mark
Trump
Cuban.
going
What
back to
about
the
Mark Cuban?
1980s. Look at
Mark Cuban
Trump's
always says-
swag
No, but Mark
for
Cuban's
decades. Like he was swagging back in the last century, for
He's the
goodness
man.
sake.
Okay, a lot of people will talk about how Trump did The Apprentice, and then right after that, Mark Cuban, who's actually obsessed with Trump, he did a show called The Benefactor that tried to rip it off, and it failed horribly.
Yeah.
So if you watch, and then Mark Cuban went and did Shark Tank because he already attached himself to a popular show because he wanted to have a popular show. So I just do think that if Mark Cuban, maybe he pretended to be conservative or more moderate, he could be the next. I'm not saying that is going to happen, but I mean,
Nah.
you don't think that's possible at all?
There's Trump's. Maybe the problem is we need to stop comparing people to Trump because there will never be another Trump.
Yeah,
It's true.
And so if you just imagine Trump right now, I want you to imagine in your mind, Donald Trump's at a rally, and then all of a sudden an alien ship comes, beams him away, and just leaves. And then everyone's just like, oh, he's gone.
It's like
the
how there's
Republicans
never-
have several people who are smart, articulate, prepared, and the Democrats do not.
True. Kamala Harris is
Yeah, that's
merely-
how they ended up with Kamala Harris. They had nobody
exactly.
ready.
I mean, Joe
to
Biden's
go.
brain dead, and he became president. So,
Well, it's a machine versus a people, right? Trump is not running against Kamala Harris. He's running against the system.
Exactly. The same system, by the way, that has enabled and propped up Biden. I mean, literally, Trump could have said that is that, everything that Kamala stands for, it's the same apparatus. It's the same people. Nothing's going to change. The people just move over to Kamala. She's a figurehead.
Yeah.
And I think the MAGA movement has really defined a lot of like the directions that voting Republicans, not necessarily people who are part of the establishment, but like Americans who consider themselves Republican, want to see the country move into. I think the Democrats have kind of rejected any similar effort. Like they were so against Bernie Sanders. They were so against RFK. They don't want to redefine their values. They kind of want to stay as is and get vaguer and also more progressive without anyone challenging them. I just don't. I think for all the infighting and fracturing on Republican side of the ticket, I think it benefits them because they have to constantly reevaluate. Well, what are the voters asking us for? What are we asking the voters for?
don't we know it's a uniparty, guys? I mean, don't we know that?
I just think the two-party system won't last forever.
Well, Trump is attacking the uniparty. I think it's done. There will be something else. There will be an apparatus. There will always be some kind of machine. But I think what we're looking at now, the military-industrial complex machine is aging out with the last generation. The internet changed everything, and they're cornered, they're desperate, and they're lashing out because of it.
Well, we're talking about the election, but what about World War III? I mean, don't you think that we're going to probably have to fight a war with Iran?
Well, how about we jump to that story? We got this one from CNN. Russia will be at war with NATO if Ukraine long-range missile restrictions are lifted, Putin warns, and it's sounding like they're going to do it. I think it was Trudeau who just came out and said he's in favor of lifting the restrictions.
Yeah, and it was the UK. It was Keir Starmer.
So bad.
Keir Starmer and Trudeau for sure, though, right?
I don't know about Trudeau. I only know about Keir Starmer. I'd believe Trudeau because he's such a little pansy man. But
I believe Keir Starmer because then Russia
It
was
was-
like,
it
get out of
was-
here, British diplomats.
it was
Yep.
Starmer.
Trudeau supports
I'm not surprised.
Ukraine striking Russia as U.S.-UK leaders talk weapons.
Well, who's running the country?
Trudeau
for
says
the
Ukraine
United
can't
States?
strike. Here we go. Says can strike deep into Russia with NATO arms. Putin hints at war.
Yeah. So
Hope it was worth it, everybody. Hope it was worth it for all of you.
This is something, though, going right back to the beginning when you had Joe Biden say he made several promises. One was that U.S. weapons, NATO weapons, would not be used to strike deep into Russia. We wouldn't be sending tanks, no F-16s. He promised, I think, no cluster bombs. And then there was another one. What was the other one? No U.S. troops on the ground. Well, we have guys in Ukraine already. We have
actual special forces.
Actual special forces. We have, even though Kamala Harris said during the debate that we don't have anybody in an active war zone, that was a huge, giant lie. We used the cluster bombs. The tanks got sent. The F-16s. This is really the last one. This is the last one.
Well,
the last promise. And Putin at the beginning said, he said at one point, if you are backing Ukraine and giving them weapons, we're not going to take that as a sign of war. But if your weapons strike us inside Russia, we will take that as a sign of war.
But I am kind of at the point where I'm starting to wonder whether or not Russia could actually retaliate, because this is not the first time we've questioned this on the show. Mm-hmm. Russia keeps saying the red line is there, and then the NATO crosses it, and then he backs up and says, well, the red line is there, and he's not doing anything.
Yeah, Nord Stream pipeline, obviously, the drone attack at the Kremlin. I mean, all of these things have pointed to the fact that we have been doing this. I mean, I just think it's becoming more overt. So I think that,
The drone attacks were massive. I think weren't there
there was like
civilians
a
and
woman
things
was killed the other day.
So they have been really, obviously the Nord Stream, originally they said Russia, because Putin's such a madman, he blew up his own pipeline because he wanted to freeze out the Germans in the wintertime. Like, it just was such an unbelievable farce.
Right.
So we have been doing these things, and I almost think it's just purely rhetoric. Like, you talk about World War III, talk about the timing before the election. Before the show, we were talking about October surprise, like what will they do? And I think October surprise could very well be World War III. And we've already been in this thing where we're fighting and doing things that are against what we're saying. But now I think they just legitimize it in the media. Now we're at war with Russia. So we all need to come together behind our wartime leader, Kamala Harris, for the future sake of humanity. And they always say, if you're at war, the country comes more together, and all that other nonsense, during the George Bush time. Do you think that a World War III beginning would be a benefit for Kamala Harris's chances of winning the election? Well, I think it's crazy to me how much people still believe the Ukraine lie. Like, at the beginning, like in 2022, I remember I was talking about that, and people were saying that I was crazy. At the time I was running for Congress, 2022. I went on Tucker and I was talking about the Ukraine thing, and I got all this hate mail for speaking badly about Ukraine. You're a Republican. We stand against the Russians and this. And I'm just like, no, it's a total scam. I mean, Ukraine is nothing more than it's a satellite for, CIA and the, things that we fund overseas. So, Ukraine is just a corrupt hellhole dating back to 2014 when Newland and these people overthrew the, duly elected government there. And it's just been on the decline ever since. So they're using it to get the war done. It's just a proxy, So I think they're going to start the war. Kamala's going to look like a wartime leader. Oh, Kamala! Look! You say
she
she's
could
not
look
capable.
like a wartime leader.
We're gonna try everything.
Well, I wonder. I wonder if they're trying to provoke a more direct conflict with Putin just before an election
to make her look tough.
I wonder if Putin is trying to avoid escalating the conflict because he's hoping Trump wins.
Interesting.
That too. I think.
Why do you think he would rather have Trump win over Kamala Harris?
Trump's going to try and stop the war overnight.
So you think that would?
Kamala Harris is the deep state. She's going to say fires
to get
and
out of this war at this point, but he doesn't.
No. Putin wants to take the territory of Ukraine.
I just got a text message from somebody in Russia. They said I have to play this right now.
All right, come on. Vladimir Putin wants to take the Donbass. He wants to take the land bridge. He wants to seize back. He wants to maintain control of that whole region because Sevastopol is a massive industrial center, access to the Black Sea. Trump wants the war to stop. The deep state wants to crush Russia and wipe them out. The deep state shutting Russia down in the Black Sea cuts off a major source of their economy, a major function of their economy with oil and transport through the Black Sea into the Mediterranean. So this is what Russia they're going to take Ukraine. That you're not going to stop them so long as it's the case. Trump winning is him going, what do we have to do to end the war? Putin says, here are my demands. Trump says, I don't want World War III. Literally don't care. Whatever. And so that's why the media has maintained, and the Democrats, Trump is giving Putin what he wants.
And there was a deal in place before all this. Like, it was Boris Johnson and it was Biden who were like stifling the progress. I mean, literally, you had images of Putin and Zelensky meeting together, and everyone says RFK Jr. actually exposes it very well. Like the deal that they signed, I think it's called Minsk Accords, right? Is that what you pronounce it? They had a deal on the table, and Boris Johnson and Biden at the time, or Biden's people, were squashing it. So
the West wants to eviscerate the economy of Russia to weaken them as a global player.
Well, aren't they running out of soldiers at this point? I mean, the fact that they're recruiting like 60-year-olds to fight, well, aren't both sides
Ukraine
running
or
out?
Russia?
Ukraine is
Both of them.
Ukraine.
I think Russia
Ukraine's
is.
recruiting young women
Yeah.
Oh, that's not great.
and old men.
Did you see the video of like an autistic
Recruit,
soldier?
sorry.
That-
Conscripting.
but did you see that they have like people with autism on the front lines?
Yeah, in Ukraine, the Ukrainian
You're
soldiers.
just being ableist. You're so rude.
Actually, people with autism probably are good soldiers, but that's neither here nor there. It's just very scary. I don't know.
I think the Democrats may be thinking we need to provoke this war for escalation as part of the election, or at the very least, initiate a conflict to which Trump can't negotiate his way out of. So that way it's forced. And Putin might be like, once Trump gets in, I'll be able to negotiate.
It's kind of like COVID. I mean, when did COVID start? Conveniently, when Trump was on his way to a resounding reelection, the economy was humming, everything was good, no new wars, and they dropped COVID, and all they talked about in the debates was COVID, 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 COVID. It's like there's so much more.
Well, the funny thing about
now they want it to be World War III.
the funny thing about COVID was that when the story first broke, you'd get demonetized for talking about it.
Yeah, that's right.
That was weird. I remember it was January of 2020, and this Wuhan thing happened. I made a video about it, demonetized, and my YouTube rep was like, "We don't want anyone talking about this. It's fear mongering, blah blah blah," or something like that. And then 3 months later, it was okay. Now you can talk about COVID.
Well, and it was if you talk about it like it's not a big deal, now you get demonetized.
yeah. Now it's the most serious
It
thing
was
ever.
like
It was weird.
the super switch. Yeah.
It was so intense.
I remember
It was
because I had
censorship.
I remember I had a little file of stories, and I was like, once this stupid COVID thing blows over, I'll do all these stories.
Yeah.
And I never did any of the stories because it never blew over.
So that could very well be the World War III. Like, they're timing it up. Obviously, war is a little bit different than a flu. So I think they wait. They might start that. The country's at war. It's all people talk about. They put the machine in thing. They make Kamala the president. Biden steps down in exchange for Hunter Biden, being let off on whatever he just pled guilty to. I mean, you can see that happening. And they're like, oh, Kamala is the first woman president. Look how strong she is. Madam President. And then they ride that propaganda into November. I think that's,
I
certainly
think
not out of the realm.
Americans would face a confidence crisis if Kamala Harris suddenly had to take over for Joe Biden and we were on the brink of World War III.
You think people would-
I don't think people think that she is strong enough, like as a personality, to handle that kind of thing. I think they want to like her. They want a woman president. They want to be progressive, but ultimately the base fear that she doesn't have it would win out.
Yeah, but Hannah Claire, right now, everybody knows that Joe Biden's not running the country. Everybody will basically admit that we don't have a president now.
So who would handle
I'm
if we
saying,
broke-
I think they would be happy with
If we
Joe Biden.
broke-
At least
if we
have
broke-
somebody.
I think right now people aren't happy with Joe Biden. Democrats didn't want to vote for him, and I think that they want to like feel the cultural and societal pressure to like Kamala Harris, but I don't think she does. Otherwise, they would have her everywhere. They would put her on every interview. She would go on whatever the current equivalent of Oprah is. They would never, ever be anywhere, but you would see her kissing all of the babies. And instead, she's sort of cloistered away, and they bring her out every once in a while when they can super control the environment.
She's less likable than Hillary, and that's saying something.
Right?
I don't know about that. I mean,
It's close. It's close.
Hillary's
I thought
bad.
Hillary's speech at the convention was better than Kamala's.
Oh, Hillary's bad.
I mean, it's a low bar, but like
Lolita Express, and you're looking to, we don't want to say some other stuff, but yeah, I mean, Hillary's very unlikable. And those pantsuits aren't very flattering. And
Kamala wears the pantsuits too.
I know.
And she
but
wears
just-
the
I don't
dark
get it.
drab colors. I mean,
Kamala
she
looked
doesn't.
She looked kind of good at the debate, though. Like she had her neck done. I'm saying she looked
yeah,
like
I
they
think she
spruced
did do
her up a
something
little
to
bit.
her
Yeah.
neck. But I mean, Nikki Haley would have been out there in Coach pumps and a
Nikki Haley's
skirt,
attractive.
Yeah, she looks
But
better.
Nikki Haley, when she talks, her teeth don't move, but her lips do.
Yeah, that's weird.
I've never noticed that, but I believe it.
When she talks like this. Her lips are moving, but her teeth are not. And I'm like, I don't know. I just can't. People are like, Tim, stop commenting on a woman's appearance or whatever. But I'm like, but I noticed that because it's like
You comment on everybody's appearance.
Well, no. This is the uncanny valley, right? So you guys know what the uncanny valley is?
Of course, yeah. It's like how they
familiar?
can't make AI exactly like
No. They can. The issue is that there's there's this scale of anxiety when you have on the far left of the graph you have total cartoons, and on the far right you have perfect realism. When you have a cartoon character, we're totally fine. We have no anxiety. We're like, whatever, cartoons are fine. Then you're getting more and more realistic as you move to the right. Then you get this advanced CGI, and anxiety and like comfortability drops all the way to the bottom. Something about a human being that is slightly not correct gives us fear and anxiety, and that's the uncanny valley. And then the reason it's called the valley is because once you get back into totally realistic robotics or CGI, people go back to being comfortable. And so there's a funny meme about it. They said the uncanny valley implies that at some point in human evolution, there were beings that looked almost just like humans, but were somewhat off, and they were a threat to humans, resulting in this anxiety response.
That's fascinating. I want to read a book about
Pull that up.
Well,
I want to read
The point is, when I see Nikki Haley and I'm watching her on TV, and her mouth, her lips are moving, but her teeth don't move at all, it's like,
She's a lizard creature.
Well, we're worried about AI, and I've said this on the show before. All these telecommunication companies, they spend billions of dollars in research trying to make it so when we call a call center that we think we're speaking to a human, and they actually do tests on how long it takes for a human to realize they're talking to a robot, and humans can always figure it out, Tim. Like, they still have not perfected that technology where we can have a conversation with a robot, and
Isn't that the Turing test?
I think that's what it's called. But I'm saying we can always. Sometimes it takes a minute to figure out it's a robot, but we always eventually figure out.
Okay, so here you go. Right, affinity and human likeness. So you can see like industrial robots. People are like, whatever, I don't care. And then if it's moving, a humanoid robot, you're like, oh wow, this is really cool. I like it. But once it gets too like a zombie, it's like a corpse. It's too close to being real, and people are like, and then once you get to a healthy person, you're like, okay, I'm feeling better now, and that's the uncanny valley. And so the meme about it is that something existed in the period of human evolution that was a facsimile of humans, but were a threat to them, and so we generated a fear response to it.
Yeah, I love that theory. I want to read a speculative fiction book about that time period in human evolution with the scary not people.
Scary not people.
I think that would be a really good story.
I'm looking at the
It'd be
Ban
fascinating.
Raku puppet. These things are freaky.
Yeah, I just had to Google that too.
Yeah, these are.
Oh
weird
yeah,
as
yeah,
hell.
those are weird.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, AI is obviously a huge threat. These AI memes, you brought that up earlier, Mike. Do we like the AI memes? I mean, I guess I'd like to see AOC in the thong or whatever they do. I think that's kind of entertaining, but I don't know if I really do like them if they're as good as like a normal meme.
It's gonna get nuts. It's crazy to me that we're already these AI videos of the cats marching as soldiers with weapons. Dude, the AI video a year ago was it looked like a nightmare. Mm-hmm. It looked like
Will Smith eating pasta.
I know.
It's like,
Now just some random guy like cats with guns marching, and then you get it, and they're wearing MAGA hats. The crazy thing is how fast AI was able to figure out language. Because a year ago, you couldn't get words. You'd be like, make me a book cover, and it would say like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Now it's perfect. Now you can go on Grok and say, make me a picture of a cat holding a Trump sign, and it does. So we are a year or two away from procedurally generated movies. It's going to be crazy.
And it's a huge problem, I think, in elections because a lot of people who are on the older side see it online, they see it on Facebook, and they think these things are real. I mean, I've had it happen where people send things and they're like, "Oh, this is whatever," and I saw this on Facebook, and it's AI, it's not real, but they don't quite get it. I think that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really weird though. You think AI when we talk about like these puppets and dolls, like sex robots, a lot of times like pornography is what encourages a lot of like advances in technology. And then you see that. Did you know that OnlyFans creators made more money than the entire NBA combined?
Yeah, that was crazy. That huge influence.
Women want to do this, man.
And it was like 29% increase in content creators on the site as well.
Women want to sell their bodies to men for money. And I'm not trying to be crass or mean or crude to say every woman is doing it. I'm saying there are a percentage of women who don't want to be nurses, don't want to be doctors. They want to be hookers online.
Well, it's
we have all these stories, all of these stories of women like, I was a doctor, I quit, I do OnlyFans. Like,
that's so distressing because we actually need doctors. We don't need more porn.
But no, if you told me the choice was a doctor who would rather be a porn star or wait wait another 40 minutes, I'd be like, I'd rather just wait for a doctor who's really passionate about their work.
Yeah, but Libby, it's funny you talk about doctors. You know, they're getting rid of doctors, and in the future, that you're going to go to a hospital and you're going to have a doctor that's just online, and they're going to say this
Or
is
it's
better.
just going to be a robot.
Yeah.
Basically,
robot.
yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
like a robot, but there'll be a screen, and they'll tell you, well, you're getting diagnosed by 5 doctors. There'll be like 5
No.
doctors.
It'll be
be
like
AI.
all
It'll
telehealth.
probably, it will probably be all.
It's gonna
It'll
be
be AI telehealth,
They'll
just
take
like
your
the
blood
mental
and
health
then-
is
yeah.
AI now.
It's not.
Just like
It's not
I
going to
keep
be
getting these things
but
on.
it's not going to be telehealth. It's going to be you're going to walk in the bathroom and go, Chat GPT diagnosis, and it's going to be like assessing your latest health metrics. I've analyzed your stool and urine samples. I think you may have high blood pressure. Try having 3 eggs for breakfast instead of 5. 5 is a lot of eggs. Maybe you got to cut them down.
3 is sort of a lot of eggs too.
I would see
Well,
these
but
reports.
imagine the person in the mirror is a 220-pound ripped dude. Okay.
Okay, that's hard for me to imagine if I'm the one looking in the mirror.
He's a guy and he's like, I don't know, maybe 5 eggs is a bit much. Perhaps
Maybe
cut
he's-
down to
yeah.
3.
I would see these reports of like AI is better at detecting like breast cancer and mammograms, and I feel like, oh, that's cool. That seems like a good use of AI. Or like, I
Flying an
get why
airplane
people are
is kinda
saying
good.
like the prosthetic limbs or stuff like that. But I'm kind of with you with the meme stuff. Like I feel like once you open the box, once you make it a little bit okay, it's going to start to go off the rails, and it does feel different than like the meme energy of 2016.
Feels way different.
They feel like completely different things to me. I wouldn't have even called them AI memes. I would still think of them as just AI images. But of course, that's sort of the function they're playing in this election. And so again, like there are moments with health, I'm like, okay, this could be a great tool, but then I think it's all likely to be corrupted, and
Yeah, and
therefore I don't want to open the box.
It will not just get corrupted. It will get corrupted to the detriment of, all of us, because it will be like, this AI based on your latest health metrics, like Tim was saying, you probably have pancreatic cancer. That is a very painful condition. Would you like an appointment for euthanasia?
Yeah.
No.
No health
Like,
insurance for you.
Right, that's too expensive for your health insurance.
Yeah.
Your employer does not want to pay it.
But I think the ideal scenario, I don't want to just be totally negative on what the AI is going to do, because there's a strong possibility that it's going to say, you're going to go in your bathroom, you're going to go to the bathroom, and then as you're getting up, the AI is going to go, Libby, I ran a check on your stool sample. It's now that's how they used to talk. It's going to be like, hey, Libby, doctor here. I checked your health, and it looks like you have markers closely related to possible pancreatic cancer. The good news is we caught it very early. If you add this vitamin to your diet, we think we can reverse this. So what the crazy thing about AI health is, doctors can't see when they'll do a scan, and they can't see a single cancerous cell. Mm-hmm. They can see clusters and things like this, but the AI is going to be like, after analyzing 342 million people who suffered from this particular cancer, we've now identified several markers that can show us the pattern, which leads to this ailment.
And so
you are now 2 years away from developing pancreatic cancer. Add more kale to your diet, and you will push this off by 10 years.
Do you think
You
it'll
know
be
what else? It
nutrition?
will also-
because
but-
I feel like it won't be nutrition. I think it'll be like, you should really get this drug from
Yeah,
Big
I was gonna
Pharma.
say, you think-
Yeah, it'll
I
be
wish I
that.
had cool if it was
Kale, I
nutrition.
It'll be
gonna
like,
be
we
like,
will
yeah.
send it to you. You can inject it into your shoulder.
Right, but now we're just talking optimistic versus pessimistic.
Right. But I think that they will also leak into mental health, because it already has. There's like AI mental health bots that you can subscribe to on Instagram, along with the AI boyfriends.
They do therapy for you,
Yeah,
with
it's
an
like
AI.
AI therapy,
You know what I think is gonna happen?
which I think is also a bad idea.
We develop to a point where education becomes non-existent. So think about having calculators in your pocket. Teacher always used to say when I was a kid, you're never gonna have a calculator in your pocket, learn your math. That was
like
the
now we
joke.
have a computer that is better than the computer that took people to the moon.
And you don't even got to type.
Allegedly.
You don't have to type. You can pick your phone up and you can just say into it, answer me this, and it will. It can translate things. If that trend continues, the future I imagine is people will have kids. The kids are going to be using calculators, which will be the AI. They will be navigated by the AI. They'll become adults. After a few generations of this, people will be mindless completely. They will have their headsets on or their bone conduction earpiece, and the AI will be talking to them rapidly through, or like a Neuralink, and the humans will choose to do it the same way we use calculators and don't do math in our heads anymore. People will be standing there with the Neuralink on, and they're going to think in abstracts like, I'm hungry, and the AI is going to go get food and eat this and make this, and they're just going to go and do it.
Yeah, I think that is a possibility. And in fact, education is already largely driven by AI. There's all kinds of programs. All the kids have Chromebooks. The Chromebooks are given to the school districts for free. And they come like loaded with these different programs like IXL for math. And there's some other ones for ELA. And the kids are supposed to like go through, and the AI determines what level they're at and what math problems to do and all of that and what their score is. And teachers don't really do anything except check the score.
I just want to point out that at what point do they start adding the percentages for you on receipts? Have you noticed this?
What do you
I don't
mean?
like that. I prefer
When you
doing
go to a
my own
restaurant
math.
and the restaurant, the receipt they give you says 10%, 15%, 20%, and the numbers are next to it, and you can check a box or just write in the number. Because when I was a teenager in my early 20s, it would just say, tip total.
Yeah.
And a lot of them still do that, but now most places I go to, it'll give you the percentages for you. It'll say, write in this much. That's what you're giving to your server. You don't got to do the math anymore.
I was on a Frontier Airlines flight, and I bought a Coca-Cola. That was my first mistake going on Frontier. And I actually took a picture. I should have shared it. But they gave me a tablet to use my card, and I could tip the flight attendant. Yeah. I almost lost. I'm like, who's going to tip a flight attendant? This is insane.
A lot of people do it though. They make a lot of money from just adding
They
the
tip.
hours.
I know. That's what I'm
on
saying.
this
Because
stuff.
you know what's funny? I think I did hit it for
You
$1.
felt bad.
I felt
Yeah,
bad.
You'll like this one. At the casino, at the cage, when you're cashing out your chips, there's a tip jar.
Yeah, of course. Well,
That's
that
weird.
yeah, but that's not that
I
crazy.
feel like
casino
tips
thing.
should. I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine, and I think that tips should the practice of tipping should only be for the restaurant servers where they have that less than minimum wage restaurant wage.
Or we just get rid of minimum wage and just people can work for what they want to work for.
Yeah, sure. If you want to go to California, by all means. But a lot of servers get like $2.35.
What? They have a very high minimum wage in California.
Yeah, and then there's But I'm saying.
you're talking about the illegal immigrants, so they don't pay wages and they make
No,
them
like-
work
No,
for
I'm
it?
talking
like
about
servers
how
have
there's
a
a
very
restaurant
low
minimum wage.
hour-
It's like $2.35.
And I said get rid of the minimum wage.
Right. So then you don't make anything.
Well, you force the employees to actually start learning how to do business again.
Well, perhaps.
Perhaps I don't.
I mean, there's laws about like you can pay restaurant workers less.
Yeah,
You're
so
saying like don't have those laws
I'm saying get
Don't have
rid
any
of.
laws.
No, I'm saying get rid of minimum wage.
just entirely.
Yeah. So why is it that an employer who can't negotiate a proper pay, this is government intervention in the market that doesn't work? Because what ends up happening is the short-term Democrat position is, but then people are going to get paid $2 an hour. Look at what's going on. Only because you've enabled it. Okay. So what happens then is they go, we have to raise minimum wage to $50. Remember in California?
Right. It's like 20.
Because people don't know how to negotiate and demand what they're worth. So maybe the market should just be allowed to determine the value of services, goods, and labor. And people might have to actually go, I ain't working for $2 an hour. Bye. And that actually happens to a certain degree now with Gen Z and millennials not wanting to work at all.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then
they
you
don't
get
wanna
replaced
work
by
at
an
all.
illegal immigrant, right? I mean, somebody's going to do the job.
And that's why I'm not a libertarian, because I don't agree. The libertarians are like open borders and no minimum wage. And I'm like, flood the labor market and put no restrictions in. That's a crazy idea. But I'm saying
Yeah.
we should have migration protections, help stabilize the economy. And then when you have a burger joint and they're like, would you like to work here? We'll pay you $5 an hour. They go, nah, wait, but we need somebody. And there's a shortage of workers. Pay me $15 an hour. It's like, all right, fine.
Yeah, but there's like minimum wage job. People don't have negotiation power or leverage, because they can't be replaced so easily. So I don't know if that works. Unless they
Well, it
all
also used to be
unionize
that
and strike or
minimum wage jobs were for people just entering the workforce. Like these were entry level positions. And we don't have a lot of that right now.
We're going to go to Super Chats. So if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends, head over to timcast.com, click join us, become a member to support our work directly. And now we'll read your Super Chats. All right. Anyway, did I just promote something? I don't know. Polly Pure says, am I first? Indeed you are. Congratulations. All right. Everyone's clapping.
That was fun.
Let's grab some more. Pokemon says, God bless Alex.
No, thank you, Pokemon. Love it. Is that
Logan Miller
Pokemon?
says, no, it says Pokemon. It's two different words. Logan Miller says, Tim, is this the Underground Network Alternative Communication? That's a reference to Anti-Flag. They are anti-nationalist far leftists. But I was a big fan of their music when I was younger until I realized what they were actually singing about.
What were they singing about?
Look up Anti-Flag.
Okay.
Look up Culture Revolution. Look up Panama Deception. Look up Underground Network. Underground Network's a good song. It's literally saying the mainstream media is lying to you and stuff like that. That's cool.
Well, I know, Tim, you as an artist, I guess you like to have a message with music, but like I listen to rap music all the time and it doesn't make me want to like shoot up, like a gang. Like
When did I ever say that would?
Well, I'm saying, but does the message of music like that makes you not, even if the song is good, if it does have a bad message, you don't like it anymore?
I think songs, it depends on how overt the message is.
Yeah.
Like if a song is glorifying crime and violence and creating a culture of it, yeah, it's a bad thing.
Well, you know, that's a conspiracy too, is that all of these record labels invested in the private prison industry, and that's why they create music that encourages people to have a life of degeneracy and shooting and stuff so they can fill up the private
I think it's
prisons.
CIA.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The CIA, they've all been in
It's not about private prisons. It's about the CIA was looking for ways to destabilize various countercultures. And so you look at Public Enemy and 80s hip hop and rap, and then you look at what it turned into in the 90s. You had
the police and
Turn It Up, Bring the
NWA.
Noise. There wasn't always a big message in it, but sometimes there was. And then in the 90s, it just became like, make money, screw a bitch, make money, screw a bitch, and just becomes as degenerate as possible. So there's no real, there's no real feeling anymore.
Yeah, you know, they I suppose I think it was Tavistock that did this, but you know that they actually have melodies and frequencies that they know are pleasurable to the human ear, and that's why they're able to repeat hits, and that's why they say like Taylor Swift has so many hits, because they can use these like chords that they know are pleasurable.
But there are YouTube videos on this.
Yeah, well, I'm
Like
sure,
you could
yeah, I don't
like
think it's
these.
a secret.
There are producers who are like, hey, here's how you make a pop song, and they literally explain how to do it. It was funny. Remember there was a guy who made a YouTube video talking about the periods of songs, and there was one where all of these songs had like a hey oh hey in it, like some kind of like that, and they were like, you could notice all of the songs do the same melody shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were all basically one hit song repeated 50 different times in different genres and then blasted out at once.
Yeah.
There was a really funny video where they took the top 3 country songs of the past 3 years and played them all over each other, and it was one song.
And they sounded
it,
basically
really?
the same. Yeah.
It was like you couldn't. They overlapped perfectly in tempo, in pitch, in like different lyrics, different chords, but they were in the same key with the same structure, so they could overlap with no problem, and they were just interchangeable.
Because like there is remember
Music's over, dude. The AI stuff is insane.
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, they do make good music, and it makes it in like 1 second. That's what I don't understand, is how it does it so quick. But you remember Gangnam Style? That was like the
Gangnam
big-
Style. That was fabricated.
That was the biggest deal ever.
That was a manufactured.
Exactly. I'm just saying that they can do that, where they just make something that everybody likes.
Well, Gangnam Style was a legit song written by Psy, but the promotion of it was not organic. It was not like
That song was great, though.
oh, and as I said, Napal Baji is Psy's best song, but they didn't promote it the way they did Gentleman or Daddy or whatever. And so they produced. I'm disappointed.
What, that they didn't give Psy more?
No. Psy had a
marketing?
bunch of billion hits. I'm saying they chose the wrong song.
Gangnam Style was a great dude. Everybody
Yes, I
played
know.
That song.
I'm saying Gangnam Style is good, but then they chose Gentleman and I think
Daddy,
Daddy
yeah, it was-
instead of Napal Baji. Napal Baji
Is that a good song? I don't remember.
exactly. What are you doing over here? You come
I
to
know.
me.
I feel like I may have heard it, but I'm a Gangnam Style stan. I don't know.
Napal Baji is Gangnam Style level.
Oh, wow.
Right. It's the music video, the silliness. It's making fun of late night talk shows and him being famous. Whereas like Gentleman is just, I feel like it didn't have the same energy.
Remember Call Me Maybe?
Yeah,
That song had a stranglehold on society.
it did.
Did she have any other songs after that?
I don't think so. Carly Rae Jepsen, rest in peace.
I think she does have other stuff.
She does.
I thought she had like a whole career and
Yeah.
stuff.
I didn't know she was still
And the
alive.
other one that I was thinking of had that song about like it's Friday or whatever.
Yes, I was just.
And I think she has a career now too.
She does. Yeah. She's huge. Very famous.
Thought
That's the other thing too. It's people don't understand one hit wonder isn't necessarily a thing. Do you know which band was a one hit wonder? It was what's that song?
Milli Vanilli.
No. What are the words? Not Milli Vanilli. They had a bunch of hits.
And then they were caught not being
Lip
actual
syncing,
singers.
yeah.
That was
and
great.
they really lamented that because they were like, we wanted
Sucked
to
Out.
sing, they didn't let us.
Super Drag. You know that song Sucked Out?
No.
Who sucked out the feeling from the 90s? That was a true one hit wonder because they literally had nothing else. But people don't realize this. Like, I remember someone told me Gautier was a one hit wonder because he had somebody that I used to know. You know that song, right?
Yeah, of
That's
course,
a
it's a
good
great
song,
song.
yeah.
But he's actually got tons of hits.
Yeah,
it's just
he's
that
talented.
somebody that I used to know was so big, everyone knows it. And then they're like, oh, he's a one hit wonder. And it's like, no, you just don't listen to that genre because he has a bunch of big hits.
and isn't he Australian? Like
Yeah.
he's really
Gautier
big.
or whatever.
There are artists that have one hit in America, but they're actually very established wherever they're like
And then people are like, I only heard the one song from them, so they must not be big. And it's like, no. It's not just that. It's that, what's the Loverboy was big, but they didn't really, I don't know if they ever had any top 10s or anything like that. And so, but they had a bunch of hits. So it's like, what would you rather be? Your band had one big song that everyone heard and then everyone forgot about you, or you had 50 top 40s, but they were all like number 20.
I don't know. If I could have Call Me Maybe or just kind of a good career, I think I would go with a big hit. I think
you're better off having a sustained career.
Oh, that financially, yeah, I think that is probably better for longevity, but I think that it'd be cool to have a song that was like the number one song for like
you know, a band is great? Foreigner.
Foreigner's great. Yeah, Foreigner's incredible, but are bands any good anymore? They're like,
are there any bands?
I know, like
Who
Creed.
are the bands?
I used to
That's
kind
what
of
I think.
tease Creed. Now I love Creed. You know, I mean, I don't like listen to it that much, but it's funny how they're actually a Christian rock band. But yeah, I don't know.
I think that what's that song by Lil Nas X, Old Country, whatever it was.
Oh, that was a huge hit too.
Oh, that was a big song.
I'm gonna take my horse.
Town Road.
Old Town
Old
Road.
Town
That
Road.
one felt like fake to me. That felt like
did,
an
yeah.
industry
Felt
thing.
fake, but everybody played that song.
No.
everywhere.
You got to understand. I can tell you exactly how this works because we do music industry stuff. Taylor Swift manufactured 100%.
Yeah.
She makes good songs. They're great pop songs.
Scientific.
But no, it's just simple. The label goes to Apple, Amazon, and these other, and Spotify and Pandora, and they say, you know that people are going to be looking for our star, and they want this music, and you're going to get a lot of requests for it. If you want us to put this song on your platform, you have to put other artists in the same rotation.
Oh, sure. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Well, so it manufactures the hits.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, I think publishers do that. You also have to stock some of our other books.
My point is
Everybody
that-
does it.
Well, you guys remember payola? They made it illegal to basically.
Right. My point is that it's not that very rarely does a song so good that people share it with everybody and then it organically grows. You're going to be like, oh, I heard that song and I really like it. Well, it's because they made you listen to it. So you turned on your app, you put modern hits, and then you heard a song and you're like, why is this, like, who is this band? Why is this song in rotation? And so there are some big bands right now, singers and artists, and I'm like hanging out at Charlestown races, and I hear this song on the big speaker, and I'm like, interesting. This song being played right now in rotation in a casino has like 200,000 views on YouTube. It is a nothing song that no one wants to play, but it's on rotation for everybody. And that's because the label's going to be like, we're going to give you Taylor Swift, and then here's the other artists that you have to put in the rotation at the same time.
Yeah, they do that.
Didn't they do that with radio stations too? Like back in the day with records?
Payola is illegal, and I don't know if that qualified as payola. Payola was consideration in exchange for airtime on radios. It's illegal to do.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that's crazy. It's like you can't, they wanted requests and they had to choose real song. I don't know. It's weird. All right, let's go. Paul Tascalo says Democrat mayor of Houston, Texas admits their crime stats were manipulated. An audit revealed a 264,000 case backlog, including 4,000 SAs. HPD blamed it on a lack of personnel. This is the result of the defund the police movement.
And COVID, because they couldn't do a lot of trials. That happened in Dallas as well, where they just threw a lot of cases out because they just didn't have like the infrastructure for the judges and yada, yada, yada. They just couldn't prosecute the crimes.
And the crime stats, they just omit big cities.
Yeah.
They just added it to a new category. They're like, oh, the crime is down. You know, Kamala said that, and Trump said, oh, that's not even real statistics. That's 'cause they just omit the big cities into its own category. Like,
And some of the cities didn't report.
Yeah,
they just won't report it.
They were like, no, we're gonna hang out. It's fine.
We're going to
New
hold
York
the
didn't
info.
report. New
Yeah,
York
yeah.
didn't report.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
You
big-
can't have a true study on crime in America if New York isn't reporting. It's
No,
the
you
major
can't.
city.
Or Philadelphia, you know.
Yeah, well, don't they always say that, like the gun violence statistics are basically propped up by suicides? Yeah, like self-harming. That's why a lot of when you talk about gunshot violence, a lot of it is people actually shooting themselves.
How awful.
It is, yeah. All right, ALZX says, I'm from Springfield. For over a year, FBI put up billboards on Route 41 that says, report hate crimes in English and Creole. They know what they are doing. Wow.
Interesting.
All right, let's, what do we have here? Adrian Contreras says, my cat went out and got an AR and a MAGA hat. Little guy is ready to rumble.
Cats for Trump.
Vosh says, Springfield is directly north of Middletown, of hillbilly elegy fame. I'm sure they all worked at the steel mill. That steel mill is still operational as far as I know. Interesting.
There's another company that's moved into the area that I can't even remember the name now, but a lot of mainstream media is like, well, it's good because there are jobs and now there are people to take the jobs. It's revitalizing this part of Ohio.
Average Trucker says, Tim, they are doing this in the trucking industry too. Learn what they need to say to pass the CDL test. Can't tell you how many OTR drivers can't speak English or read signs. That was one of the issues. Remember that guy who was going downhill and lost control and slammed into vehicles and killed a bunch of people and went to prison? Then they pardoned him and he got like a lighter sentence or something.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was because my understanding is that he wasn't trained properly. So and then people watch a video of it and they're like, there's the emergency runaway truck runoff. And they're like, why did he go past it? And it's like, probably didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
He did not know what to do and he panicked because
That's awful.
trucking is, not it's a profession. It's like, you got to know how to do it. Operate those big rigs.
What about that guy in Springfield that said that he wishes that his son was not murdered by a Haitian?
He literally said that he wished his son was murdered by a 60-year-old white man.
That is
So
man.
sad.
That was in
so
Springfield?
awful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and it
School
was
bus
a
death.
Haitian illegal immigrant rammed into a school bus and killed his son.
And then he literally said,
I wish it was a white
I wish it was a white guy, but here we are, and I'm going to vote for Kamala anyway.
but this is important because people need to get the quote right. He says, he got up at the podium and said, I wish my son was killed by a 60-year-old white man.
That's right.
End of sentence.
Yes.
And then he stops. Because a lot of people keep adding things to what he said. And I'm like, End Wokeness put instead. They wrote the word instead. They added that word. I'm like, that diminishes what he said. Tell the people what he actually said. He said, he got up at the podium and he stood there and said, I wish my son had been killed by a 60-year-old white man. I know many of you probably think it's shocking to hear someone say that.
Yeah. To say the
It's
least.
horrifying.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine being that brainwashed though?
And then and as part of his speech, he was saying how he didn't want his son's death to be politicized as he politicizes his own
Speaking at a
son's
public meeting.
death. Yeah. It's really, I mean, I feel for all of the people who are suffering from,
All right.
these kind of crimes.
Korowag says, an anchor from all outlets, a person from the top 10 political podcast channels only 3 questions each, only on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Crew is hired independent third party. Fact checks at will. Source, other outlets only. Proceeds split evenly to a charity of all parties and choice. Fair? No. Fair or no? That'll never happen. The purpose of the debate, and Trump walked into it. Kamala was like, I'll do a debate with you, Trump, so long as it's in hostile territory to you. And they're going to rig it so that it benefits me. And Trump was like, I can handle it.
And they build me a podium that's smaller and makes me look,
Yeah, because he said no. One of the rules is you can't stand in boxes. So they said, well, there's no rule against smaller podiums.
I hope that podium gets sold at public auction. I think that's
But
so funny.
let's be real. If they had the same size podiums, it would have destroyed her campaign.
You think?
Yes.
I mean, you do think it would have had that big of an effect?
2%.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But
Her looking there all super tiny up at Trump and Trump
should have just made
towering.
his really small, and then he would be like huge, And then they,
Optics matters. Also, they never
do matter.
They ever show them at the same time on the screen with not split screen, but them at the podium.
the way they shot it with the angle, there were a couple, and the podiums almost looked the same.
Yeah.
It was like the podium's a little closer.
So
to
that's
the camera.
something I think that we know against Hillary. I think they showed it like the wide shot, and Trump looked so much bigger and more like presence.
What if Trump did the handshake thing? You know the handshake thing he does? Where
he
you grab their
grabbed
hand, pull them in.
Well, did you think that was weird? Because that was a big criticism, and I know we're going back to the debate, but how he kind of walked behind the podium and that handshake was all.
He wasn't going to shake her hand.
He wasn't
I know.
expecting.
She sought him out to do it.
I know. I wonder. They probably obviously told her to do that. I wonder what that was. Was that to like try to
It was
emasculate
like,
him?
we're about to F you.
And she's
No,
trying to be the
she was-
unity
she was-
candidate.
She was
It was
told
presidential.
you have to be calm, collected, and get him angry. So you have to go out there, shake his
Imagine
hand.
if he would have done that. He just sort of stuck his hand
And he went like that?
Dude, everybody would
I liked his. I liked his. Have fun tonight.
so funny.
He's like a dad at a sports game. Have fun tonight. And Kamala's like, okay.
yeah.
and
They
then
also
if he
shook
turned to the
hands at
camera and went
9/11.
like that,
Dude, that would have gone
the
so
memorial.
viral.
they did what?
They shook hands at the 9/11
Yeah.
memorial the next day.
That was actually really great. I like that a lot. Where at the memorial, you've got they're all standing together, everyone's smiling, and I'm like, man, America, right? I like that. Now I hope Trump wins, but it's good to see people are standing there because 9/11 is more important.
Dude, I love that video of Joe Biden putting on that Trump hat.
Best moment of his career.
I like that he got bullied by the people. They're like, "Oh, you
By the
old
children.
fart!
Yeah.
Put it on, you old fart!" I'm like, "This is the commander in
By the
chief,
children.
and he's getting bullied by these kids and this old guy."
He handled it masterfully, and it was the best moment of his career, and I
seemed
respect him for it.
likable. Yeah.
He was like, Biden's like, you want an autograph, and he's like, sure, can you remember your name? And he's like, no, I forgot. I'm old.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, you're an old man. He's like, I am an old man. He's like, and you would know that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And the guy's like, what? He's like, you would know about being old. He's like, yeah, I'm old. And I'm like, that was actually funny. And then he's like, now I need your hat. And the guy's like, you can put it on. He goes, I won't go that far. And then he looks around and then he puts it on and everyone
all
cheers.
cheered.
And then the guy says, he said, what did he say? Now I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you.
That was the best moment of his
You old
career.
fart. That's what
Yeah.
he said. I'm proud of you, you old
That was the best moment of his career because it was fun, it was silly, and if that's the kind of campaign he'd been running the whole time, he'd have been up a couple points. If he was being nice and being relaxed. I mean, like when you come out and lie about Trump, you lose moderates. You can be honest about Donald Trump and say you disagree with him, and that's what RFK was doing.
I think he's off the drugs. He's disaffected about Kamala. So he's just like, screw it.
He doesn't have to maintain that Trump is the worst thing in the whole world and everything's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
Because again, that's the DNC's campaign strategy for the last 3-4 campaigns now that they've run. And I think it's funnier to see Joe Biden be like, meh, we're just moving forward. It's more disarming to people who are so supportive of Trump.
Well, even though he is basically senile, I think he's smart enough to realize that maybe he does want Trump to win because then he can say he's the only person that beat Trump.
I think so
Yeah,
too.
I-
He's totally
I
in
kinda
legacy
like that.
preservation mode.
Deep
So-
down.
Deep down, you know.
Deep down.
He's old. He doesn't care. So
Yeah.
Trump becomes president. That's going to affect Joe Biden's life whatsoever.
For a couple months.
I mean,
Yeah,
seriously,
maybe,
he's going to
yeah.
go to Delaware and relax for the rest of his life.
Good point. Deep down, he wants Trump to
I think so. Yeah.
100%.
'Cause he wouldn't
I bet
act-
anything on it.
That MAGA hat, that he knew that if he put that on, they would cause chaos.
All right, we got an important one here. Cisco says, Tim, can you talk a few minutes about that sweet cardboard crack behind you? Love the show. Thanks for all that you do. Greetings from Chile. Why, yes, as I pivot, you can see this fine display. Where's my hand? How do I do this? Right here. These bad boys, these are all dual lands. And these 3 are not in sleeves. And Alex he hit up Boogie, and he was like, take a look at this. And then Boogie was like, he should be slapped for that.
Yeah, because you didn't even put a penny sleeve on it or whatever. He's
The
pissed.
dual lands are very rare, expensive Magic the Gathering cards. And you can see down here at the bottom, that one, that is an alpha lightning bolt. I think they go from, like, depending on the grade, it could go from around $1,000. So this is Ian and my, it was at first banned cards. And so we got this case and started putting cards in it. One of them is called Cleanse. And what the Magic card does is it says all black creatures are destroyed. Magic the Gathering banned that card for being racist.
Yeah, this is after the fact.
Like
that it-
Jaguars,
recently.
like what, like
So
Do you have the Illuminati card game, though? That's one.
Yeah. But I think it's in a box somewhere. So in Magic the Gathering, there are 5 colors of magic, but it's like what you'd read in a fantasy book. There's white magic, black magic.
And white magic's good magic, right? Obviously.
Well, they represent in Magic the Gathering. It's representing something relatively. Let me explain. So there's green, blue, red, white, black. Black represents ambition, meaning you're willing to sacrifice anything to get what you want. Typically, cards that are black represent paying life, like sacrificing your own life to get an outcome in the game, and does not represent race. That's stupid. White represents like honor, law, and loyalty. So white tends to be angels, soldiers, civilization, humans. Blue is control, illusion. Red is passion and aggression. Green is life and growth. So to ban a card in the game because it says destroy all black creatures, and they call that racist, is the stupidest thing imaginable. These people have gone nuts.
It's like when they wanted to ban monkeypox. They said it was racist. I'm like, nobody thought, I didn't even create a racial correlation. Then they changed to mpox.
But I will add too, another card in there at the bottom you can't see is called Unholy Strength. And it's a guy with a pentagram burning behind him, and he's like, tilting his head back. And that actually got removed from the original set because conservative Christians thought that it was satanic, demonic imagery being sold to kids. So when they reprinted it, they removed the pentagram, so it's just Unholy Strength or whatever. That being said, that is we got a ton of Magic cards over here too. Alex is taking pictures and showing Boogie.
Boogie loves
so
it.
excited.
He's the legend of Magic. He's like the OG Magic the Gathering content creator.
Yeah. All right, everybody, if you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show, become a member at timcast.com. We're going to be back on Monday. It's Friday the 13th.
Oh.
So, of course, Alex and I, we're going to go.
Push our luck. So let's see if we win some money. I'm going to hit a slot machine for $125,000. I predict it right now. So.
All right. You can follow the show on X or on Instagram at Timcast IRL. You can follow me personally on X at Timcast. Mike, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, on X, Mike Crispi at Mike Crispi on X. Thanks for having me, Tim.
Oh, Pimp on a Blimp, Primetime with Alex Stein. Watch it on Blaze TV, YouTube, wherever you can, get the show. You can get Primetime 99 24/7. So please watch it. Thank you for having me, Tim.
Sure. Thepostmillennial.com, humanevents.com. Check it out. I'll see you guys sometime.
Yeah. Guys, thanks for all being here on a Friday, and thank you guys for watching. I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for SCNR.com. Follow their work at Timcast News on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram at hannahclaire.b, and I'm on Twitter at hannahclaireb. Thanks for everything you do. Have a good weekend.
We will see you all on Monday, but we do have clips throughout the weekend, so make sure you subscribe to this channel, and then we'll see you all next time.